world of Street Fighter 3. Prepare for battle.
One box could leave you messed up and fractured. Block these uppercuts, they may leave you captured. May the best fighter win and win again. Battle to the top until his life ends. But if his life ends and he starts to decay, may one of his street soldiers avenge things. See you talking to the game, couldn't be talking to me. I got enough to beat and more soldiers to bury. You know it just clicked in and made you realize this game is twice as hard. You see that with your own eyes. You're on the way to choose your type of life, cause you gotta. I tell you from now, which fighter will be the hotter. I don't think you want this one, just practice. Just challenge me when you're ready with your tactics. High punch and spin kicks, watch your back split. I see you in the air when I make you backflip. Select to make your first pick. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Choose and pick the best one. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Select to make your first pick. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Choose and pick the best one. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Select to make your first pick. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Choose and pick the best one. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Select to make your first pick. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Choose and pick the best one. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. One box could leave you messed up and fractured. Block these uppercuts, they may leave you captured. May the best fighter win and win again. Battle to the top until his life ends. But if his life ends and he starts to decay, may one of his street soldiers avenge things. See you talking to the game, couldn't be talking to me. I got enough to beat and more soldiers to bury. You know it just clicked in and made you realize this game is twice as hard. You see that with your own eyes. You're on the way to choose your type of life, cause you gotta. I tell you from now, which fighter will be the hotter. I don't think you want this one, just practice. Just challenge me when you're ready with your tactics. High punch and spin kicks, watch your back split. I see you in the air when I make you backflip. Select to make your first pick.
The more you know. Hey guys, did you guys miss me? I am back. The headmaster is alive and well. Don't fret. I have returned. And good evening to those joining us tonight on February 24th, 2026. Good evening and welcome back to the Gaming Academy. Now, tonight's class is officially in session, but we're exploring something every gamer experiences, but not every gamer talks about. Now, this past few weeks, I've started a little thought about time. Not the time on the clock, not really the hours logged, but the time that quietly changes how we play, right? How we think and how we experience games, or the games itself. Maybe your reflexes feel different. Maybe your priorities have shifted. And I know mine has. Maybe the way you approach games today is not exactly the same way you approached them years ago. So the question for tonight isn't, are we getting worse? Am I getting old? Am I getting slower, weaker? Now the question is, are we evolving though? Now tonight's class is called Aging as a Gamer, right? We're going to be breaking down how gaming changes with us, our skill, our mindset, our habits, and our perspective. From nostalgia and, my goodness, industry shifts. That's been a lot of that this week. To strategy, awareness, and wisdom earned through experience. Because growing older, especially in gaming, isn't about decline. Don't think that way. It's about adaptation, evolving, evolution. And adaptation is one of the greatest skills gaming ever teaches us. So grab your notebooks, get your notes ready, settle in class. It's time to level up differently. Now, introducing, of course, everybody here that held the fort down while the headmaster was gone last week. Let's get everybody in here. The staff. Everybody. Hey, guys. Thank you for, taking care of the school I was away. I appreciate that. Headmaster needed some time away from the hubbub, so highly appreciate it.
It's the least we could do.
Yeah, I saw you guys kicking some butt on Monster Hunter, so that was pretty fun. So it inspired me to install my Monster Hunter as well. So
somebody had to go out there and beat ass on your behalf. Somebody got to beat these kids.
And funny enough, Oliver, GQ's the headmaster's first tempered Arcveld kill I was on board for that.
I was just blocking. That's all I did was block. Let's just say I played my role as, look over here, Arkville, hit me. So, yeah. How was everybody's week? I know it's kind of a weird weather outside here into the Pacific Northwest. I don't know I don't know how your weather over there is, but yeah.
It's stupid. It was just the dumbest week of weather. Like, it went from being almost 70 degrees, had to get out, walk and all that, and then suddenly, literally overnight, just snow, just poof, like several inches. We're like, So,
at least it's only several inches and not like 26 to 30 like New York got.
Not the day after tomorrow of New York.
Right?
Yeah, for sure.
And then it just dropped from 70 just down to like 2 degrees. We're like, so it's funny, huh? Everyone's like, we got to care about the environment. I said, the environment's trying to kill me. I don't have to care about that guy. No, this is awful.
Mother Nature bipolar.
So I want to hear from everybody on the panel here. Like, what is your thought for tonight's show's title? Like, what is your immediate takeaway from aging and gaming?
Honestly, when you did your little opening segment there, the first thing I thought of was just Principal Skinner saying, "Am I so out of touch?" No, it's the kids who are out of touch.
It's the devs who are wrong, not me.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about it a lot because we are getting older, and we always kind of talk about our nostalgia and where gaming has come from. So I'm reminded every week about aging as gaming. But now more of the conversation is shifting to how the industry is aging and how different it is and the changes it's going through, not just us. And I think that's the first thing I think of when I think about aging with gaming is we always talk about, like your passion, sticking with it, kind of falling out of love with it. A lot of people our age have started to do that, but the industry itself, and I kind of look at it with that lens.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially this week.
Oh my God, dude. 40, right? I swear, I was complaining, I want to say last month about how it was a slow week for gaming news. This week was not slow, and it was not happy.
Ain't that the truth?
Facts.
Holy Moses.
Yep.
I was to say, we're all post 40, right?
Yeah.
I was to say, so when I look at that, I mean, when I'm on stream, it's a conversation I have a lot, because quite a few of my viewers are like, at least half my age, right? And having to give those guys context, but I think that gaming has gotten better as I've gotten older. I think I have a much better appreciation for it, even though things like the reflexes are starting to slip a little bit, and just like different games coming out. But one of the crazier things is thinking about like games that I played way back when I was 17, 18, 19, 20 or whatever, and I just remember how difficult the game was when I played it, and then I'll be like, you know what, I'm gonna go and grab that, I'm gonna find it and play it on stream, and I stomped the actual dog shit out of this game. Like every time I bring it on stream, I clear it in like 2-3 hours. I was like, why did I think this game was hard? And it's like, well, the game wasn't hard, you got better. Like that's it. And it's like, and this has nothing to do with your age, it has to do with your wisdom and your experience for gaming for 40 years straight. And it definitely is making an impact. So I think certain games that were already mid, I think got worse with time, and games that were stellar became beyond exceptional as I've gotten older, right? And there's still some fun little things, just kind of, I can't wait to see what comes next. You know what I mean? Like, I think there's fun little things still to come, even in old things that I've already experienced time and time and again. One of these days I'll beat Super Mario Brothers, but it won't be today. I'm dead serious. I've never beat Super Mario Brothers. That game beats my ass, man.
That
it lights me up.
I was gonna say it's a very positive way to think about it. I will say, like, just on that exact note, what you're saying with Mario, I just bought Mario 3D World for Switch. I needed a game for my wife and I that was old school but kind of updated, and I kind of split the difference with that. Because I wanted to start having games that we could play, like Mario games we can play with my daughter when she's old enough. We got to a certain point in that game of Emmy and I playing together, and we hit a level that is so freaking frustrating. We cannot beat. We literally put the game down. I haven't played it since. It's been like a week, and it just like it. I was like, I'm better than this. I know I'm better than this. It's not working though. Does not compute. Me trying to do what I am on the screen, it's just not working. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But you,
Yeah, like, it's kind of the same thing, every time, whether it's here on the Academy or just, going live on my own solo streams, it's one of those things where every single time I go live, it's, it brings the concept of how old I'm getting as opposed to how long I've been gaming and just, aging along with the hobby. It brings it from my periphery into, sharp forward focus. And that's part of why, that's actually part of why I always refer to myself as the rookie, not to try and say, not to try and keep this air of eternal youth so much as just, reminding myself and reminding my viewers that doesn't matter how long we've been at it, we're always still going to be learning something new. There's going to be something that happens. Hell, it could be the same thing that happens. It could be the same gameplay loop if we're playing the same game like multiple days in a row.
Mm-hmm.
But even that exact same gameplay loop, it's going to have a different effect on us, even just by a small margin each day. And that new experience and that new knowledge that you gain, that's the kind of thing that you carry with you. And if you're not, learning, then that right there is a sure sign that you are actually, that you are getting older, I feel.
Yeah. I'm kind of with you on that. Like going back to some retro Nintendo games that I found pretty difficult when I was a kid. I'm like, this is really easy. There's only like 2 buttons, and like it's not as difficult as I thought it was. But looking back, I was like, this game was really hard when I was a kid. The understanding of it was primitive, right? And the flip side of that is my old self trying to like compete with what do you call this? With ranked, on Street Fighter, right? Like my reflexes aren't as fast as they were before. I'm just not as educated as I was back in the day when it comes to fighting. I'm just kind of playing casually. So I don't let that bother me, but it's still kind of like, it keeps me up to speed on like my, I guess like, like with you in the tech, the strategies behind these games, right? It keeps me involved in that and kind of like not like left behind, but just still updated. I'm not going to say excel, but updated to see what's going on. Like Drive Impact in Street Fighter 6. I'm like, bro, I cannot see that coming no matter what. Right. So that's just me.
Yeah. I mean, the reflexes thing, especially because I used to do the, semi-pro Counter-Strike thing. One thing that I've started doing is I went back and played a little bit of Counter-Strike 1.6 because someone had done a browser version of it where you could literally play the game through the browser.
Yeah.
And just the fun experience I get of just revisiting these maps or layouts and remembering where certain choke points were, remembering where certain spots where I could throw grenades over the doors kind of thing. Like it was fun to know that and re-experience it. Like it was certainly cool back in the day to like, oh, this is a new game, new experience, but there is something to be said about aging, going back to these things and like rediscovering them. And the kind of like dopamine hit I get from that is just different. It does hit different. Like it was cool.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I think people have a tendency to misunderstand that nostalgia, right? Where they think, oh, the good old times. It's like, well, it's not just about the thing that was in the past was better, right? But it's like, you've forgotten enough that you get part of that dopamine hit that you got the first time through when you revisit something really, really, really bona fide classic, where you're just like, oh man, what a time. And you're getting a renewed sense of that rush, revisiting that old stuff. But you get to come with the knowledge that you had too, which is just peak. That's choice right there.
Yeah. Well, to have nostalgia, you'd have to live through it first, right? To get that nostalgia. So it's kind of like a double dip, right? Now and later.
Right.
Right. So it's a prime experience that I think is very personal to those that are, of that specific thing you're talking about. Speaking of nostalgia and specific things that we're talking about, This is a prime example for us to lead into our next segment of This Week in Gaming History of Memory Chronicles. All right, that is a nostalgic sound, folks. Yeah, if it's your first time here, this is the segment of the show where we, talk about the week of gaming. From this week will be from the 22nd to the 28th of games that we remember that made an impact or an impression on us. So let's get this going, starting from February 22nd. What do we have here? Oh, okay. I like this game too. So whose was this one? Nick.
Big surprise, right? That it was me.
Yeah.
During all my Gears of War fandom, and then also when they did the Duke Nukem DLC for this game, I had to get it and play it. I just remember this game is over the top. That's the best way to describe it. The story was crude but entertaining. The skill shot system had me literally like rolling on the floor with my sides and stitches with some of the names they came up for. If you don't remember, in this game you could kill or link kills or knock people into environmental hazards, and would come up with funny names for it. I'll see if I can pull up a couple while we're talking about other games, but while it was a repetitive game and maybe not super deep, it was a lot more fun than I think people gave it credit for. I kind of miss it because of that. I miss titles that kind of just feel like this, just fun for fun's sake. And that's something we've talked about on stream a couple times. But yeah, man, maybe nothing like super able to write home about, but man, it was just fun to play.
Yeah, it was a game that didn't take itself seriously.
Yeah.
You know? It was like, hey, this is a game and it's silly. Let's go be silly. But partially adultly, but not maturely.
Yeah. It was definitely one of those things, like adult humor, but not smart humor.
Wasn't the voice actor like Spike from Cowboy Bebop? Like who?
That's
was
right,
it?
Steve Bloom.
Yeah, Steve Bloom. So that's cool.
Gave me another reason to love it, of course.
No, like
small little weird anecdote, but I saw this game at E3 in 2010, and they had a food truck for Bulletstorm, and
what?
All the burgers that they gave out were named after all those skill shots.
Oh man, that's
right.
awesome.
So you could absolutely go up to this food truck and ask for a gangbang burger with a straight face.
Oh no.
I can't remember what burger my wife got, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't the gangbang burger.
Oh my Christ!
Yeah, they were just giving stuff out. They're like, "Yep, there you go." It was a long ass line too. People were hungry.
Product this time for sure.
It was
some of the basic ones were like pancake, where you're crushing an enemy between a wall and like a heavy object. Like that one, pretty straightforward. But it got up to names like you mentioned, as well as Sausage Castle, Meat Fountain, and Shish Kebab as well for like some of the bigger ones that were on there. It was just...
I'm gonna need to find a copy of this for my PS3 because I mean, when Bulletstorm first came out and I saw some of the footage for it, I thought it looked like a lot of fun. It reminded me of like it gave me the same vibe that Rise of the Triad did.
There was also a gun called the Penetrator, Ace.
Is it a railgun?
What's that?
Is it a railgun?
So that's where the shish kebab weapon skill came from. Was you impale 2+ enemies with the Penetrator. Nice. There's kick of doom, kill an enemy by kicking a large cannonball into them. Breakdance, drill an enemy into the ground.
That's
like
great.
It's just they thought of a little bit of everything. It just felt like fun for fun's sake. So that was my memory card chronicles.
You can get kills like freaking like the variety of kills you can get reminds me of the variety of like environmental takedowns you could do in Burnout.
Right.
Revenge.
That was part of this. It married that line between like the hits you kind of got when you're playing games like Quake or arena shooters. You hear like the multi-quad kill stuff in your head, but then you'd be reading stuff using like environmental kills. They gave specific names to them as well. Just really funny stuff. It had just a really fun energy to it, and like I said, it was just it feels like a different era, and I kind of miss just the fun that some devs have. It may have not been like a AAA top of the line, 9 out of 10 game, but it's just like fun to play, and I got my money's worth. Just something we're still searching for nowadays.
There we go. Oh, it's coming up. Processing.
Yep. Yes, that I managed to pull up.
This needs to be an actual restaurant.
Made with
I
90%.
made sure. I made sure
I
she
don't
took
have
that.
those
She took
fun.
those pictures while we were out there. But yes, they were free, just as listed, and that's why it was such a massively long line. Like that was how most people ate that day. It was a huge truck. It was.
This is the era of gaming events that I miss. I miss going to PAX and just seeing like
Or
the marketing teams do stuff like that. Just fun, free stuff, tongue in cheek, really just kind of like celebrating it. I miss that so much.
Yeah. Hopefully we get it back, someday. All right.
Nope.
All right.
aging and gaming. It's all
Yeah.
corporate.
February 22 in 2024, Albert chose one of the games on my A to Z gaming challenge, Pacific Drive.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us more a little bit about this.
So the only reason, because I'm a sentimental dork, the only reason I was interested in this game is because that's the region of the world my wife is from and where all the homies are hanging out apparently these days in the Pacific Northwest. And this woman, without hesitation, without a lick of irony, her favorite car is a station wagon. If you just say station wagon, she goes, "Yeah." I'm like, "What the is wrong with you?" No, she loves a station wagon. So when some homies dropped this, I was like, "Baby, you're gonna need to see this." And she said, "You gotta play that." I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna do it." Right? It ticks off all the boxes. It's a roguelike, but it's in first person. You're driving around. It's kind of spooky. When I say kind of spooky, I mean it's fucking spooky. That shit is scary. Okay, I haven't finished it. I ain't finished it. It's been out for 2 years. I keep okay. I'm gonna finish. I'm gonna finish Pacific Drive. I'm gonna get in here, and I'm like, ah, shit. You know what? I'm a bitch. And I
stay
just walk
wagon,
away.
rock and roll. And then nope.
And I'm right. I'm just sitting there, but it's got one of the most baller soundtracks of all time. I'm not even kidding, man. Everybody be singing the. We sit down. Sometimes we don't even do the run. We just sit there in the car, listen to the radio, and everyone's chilling on stream. We're singing the damn songs because we're like, y'all picked out some certified classics here. It's an amazing roguelike with the right amount of creepiness to it. Because basically, what happens is that you have somehow gotten pulled into and I'm glossing over this quite a bit, but you kind of get pulled off into an extra dimensional dimension, right, of the Pacific Northwest, and there are other people who have been trapped there. Like I think the game takes place in the 80s. At least you're from the 80s, and there are people who've been stuck there since like the 1950s, and they're like, "Oh shit." Like, "Oh my, somebody's here. Wait, you're not from our time." Trying to sort that out, and your car is what they call a remnant. So, long story short, it's anomalous stuff. Kind of like how we talked about Roadside Picnic and we talked about Stalker Nick and all that stuff. It's kind of like that, except
Yeah.
car's haunted. The car's fucking haunted. That's it.
Yeah,
And
this
as you,
just from the video alone, dude, it's a vibe. Kind of the same thing you mentioned just now about Stalker, the atmosphere of it. The atmosphere is in spades
It-
right now, just even looking at the video.
it very much so is. And kind of the key, like one of the best mechanics that they introduced to the game, when I say the car is haunted, like it has its own survival instinct, but interacting with anomalies too much causes things not to happen to you, but to happen to the car. And you don't notice them at first. And that's the spice, because sometimes they're very small malfunctions or anomalies. And then other times you go, hey, if you take the car, you put it in park, the windshield wipers will come on. And you just kind of don't notice until you're like, is the game bug? Nope, it's not a bug. It's a feature. Weird shit will happen. Oh, every time you step on the gas, the back trunk door comes open. You're like, damn it. So next time you go back to your hub before you start a run, you need to take it and you need to put it on the diagnosis machine, and you have to play a mini game trying to figure out through a process of elimination of, wait, if I do this, what effect happens on the vehicle, and figuring those things out so you can diagnose the bug, the current haunting of the car, so that you can get it back into working order and get back out there. And of course, again, since it's roguelike, you get to pick, a myriad of paths that you're going to take on the map. And sometimes those paths will change right up from underneath you. And they kind of lean on SCP stuff a little bit, backroom stuff a little bit. It's a nice smattering of too fucking scary for me. You're like, nope, I just can't finish it. She's like, go finish Pacific Rim. I'm like, but I'm a bitch. I can't do it. I'm
I want to watch you play it. That's exactly how that works.
like, you go play the scary game. I don't want to play the spooky.
It's like
Right?
finish Pacific Drive, you baby, and then you turn around like, wham, damn it,
Right. I'm like, no.
goo goo gaga.
It's a very scary game because and we'll move on to the next game, but the scariest thing in that game is the fucking tourists. Nothing is named how it's supposed to be, and that makes it cooler. But tourists are just mannequins that are standing there, and they will not move so long as you maintain direct eye contact in the middle of the fucking screen.
Oh man.
Oh hell no, that's
As
some
long as
weeping
you're
angel
straight
shit.
and doing
No,
that.
no.
But the second
No.
your ass turns away, they absolutely move, and they're
Oh.
coming to get you,
Oh,
and
no.
they're reaching for you and shit. And one of the scariest maps in Pacific Drive is if it has randomly occurred, something's moving out there. That's all you see on it. It's just a map full of fucking tourists, and you're just like, you're scared all the time. You gotta put gas in the car. Your hands are shaking and shit. You're like, I want to be out here in the woods. There's mannequins in the woods. And you turn, and one is just closer, and you're like, yeah,
Oh no.
I'm gonna put this shit here. I'm gonna get in this fucking car. Fuck them kids. And you're like, but they're still paying to getting candy bars. Don't care. They know the way home. So we close this shit. And oh no, it's a perfect execution of too spooky for me. I'm like, no, my heart be racing playing that shit. I've seen it. I was like, I ain't scared of this shit. Look at my fucking watch, and that shit says you shit's going about 120 beats a minute. I was like, you know what? I'm good. I don't need this shit in my life. I'm old enough to die. Die of a heart attack, and nobody wants to go out like that. Oh, some old black guy died. You light out on Twitch. You're like, fucking Pacific Drive killed him. I don't want that shit. That's not a no. I don't want to be the guy in the news cycle. Great game though. Great game. I think it just went on sale recently. Just for those curious, like they've done a bunch of post DLC and they don't charge for shit. Small indie team, what is it? Ironwood Studios. Great guys. They love to see it. They're always interacting with people. You can't miss.
Well, now you've oversold it to me. I still got to play it. So.
Shit out
Yeah.
of it.
All right, moving on to the 23rd. Nick's choice here is actually a game I played a long time ago. Also, so bringing me back here with some Sam Champ.
I recently only came to know. I had no clue that I think Suda51 was involved with this game.
I believe you're right.
Right, shocked the hell out of me. And I think he said something along the lines that the work that he did on Samurai Champloo absolutely did have influence on works going on, including Romeo is a Dead Man.
Not surprising. Not surprising at all. Like, look, I loved the anime series. I loved its fusion style. So why wouldn't I love the game? The fun twist was this one that I completely forgot about until I started like going back after seeing that this one popped up in my memory card chronicle. Was that you could actually buy more records at the shop for more music, which then tied into the combat engine. So the idea is that different hip hop grooves determined the combos that you could use in each of the combats that you come up against. It had style, it had some weirdness. It is not a perfect game, but it was certainly a unique take on the property and kind of like what made it special. I still remember the original soundtrack. I got really into Nujabes right around this time too, thanks to Samurai Champloo. So the idea that they were tying their entire game into that hip hop kind of riff, and as you get a little bit further in the game, like you see at the top there, you can like it's almost like you're looking at a DJ table, and you can quick swap between the two records, like ad hoc in the middle of combat. So it flowed really well. It was a really interesting idea to look back on, just like, hey, this is what was great about this property. Let's lean into that kind of creativeness that I think I kind of miss.
So it's like style switching in Devil May Cry 3 Special Edition.
Exactly.
Right.
It's
But with
like that,
the
but you're
soundtrack.
literally hot swapping between two combo sets.
Right. But the difference being with this is just like you tied it into the music specifically.
Incredible.
Same idea,
Was
built
the
in.
Hi-Fi Rush in there?
Yeah. Who knows if that was, potentially something that was inspired by ideas just like this. But yeah, no, just kind of a cool thing. And as someone who was looking for, titles and properties that I recognize, seeing like an anime game like that in the US especially, was just like, oh, this is kind of different. This is just different. I want to try this.
Cool. Yeah, I think I have a playthrough of it on my channel from like 2018. So I did definitely
There
play.
we go.
Yeah, definitely play that. Our next game is actually a game I have not played before. This came out in 2012. Ace, I asked you about this on your Twitter page.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit more about Tales of the Heroes Twin Brave.
Now, seeing as how the Tales of series is celebrating its 30th anniversary this year, it's kind of fitting that this game being, it's kind of fitting that this game actually came across my, my look as I was going through the MCC for this week, and I used to have this game on my PSP, and it was such a fun time. Just I picked it up and started messing around with it, and I'm like, okay, so we got ourselves another action game with all the different protagonists from the Tales of series, from Tales of Fantasia all the way up to the first Tales of Exilia game. But then I actually got into it, and I'm sitting here, I'm going, wait, this ain't just your regular Tales game. This thing's a Muso, isn't it? And the moment I realized it, I was like, time to lock in.
We need some kind of a alert anytime Ace brings up Muso, like some kind of like bell ring or something.
Oh, then you're finna hate me this week.
Oh no, I saw it. That's why I suggested you need a little something. Maybe we bring back Fire Alarm Coon. That will be his alert.
No, I mean, we have this Jubilee theme when we play the tech. What else is there that's like a notable sound except don't pursue Lubu? It's Lubu.
Right.
We're just gonna get
that would be a good little
so good.
Yeah,
that's what we're going to do. We're going to make the effort.
But one of the things I absolutely loved about this game was that it was a take on the property, a take on the franchise that incorporated a lot of the RPG elements into it. So you had not you didn't just have your characters, but you also had all of their different specials that you could equip to them, and there was also the character progression as far as leveling up, as far as the different crystals, and you by default started off as the name Twin Brave suggests. You start off with pairs of characters, so you're already working with the double team aspects of the game as well.
So does it play more like a Muso versus an actual Tales game?
It plays more like a Muso, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And like this was like when I first started playing this game. This was this was still PSP. I hadn't gotten my hands on anything like a Wii or the Wii U. So this was before I came across Hyrule Warriors. But as I was playing this, I thought, man, what other RPGs would make really good action games where the mechanics from the core titles could be pulled in? First thing I started thinking of was Zelda, and then next thing you know, Nintendo and Koei Tecmo team up and say, here you go.
And you're like, yes, please, more, master. That'd be awesome.
It's like, let me adjust my bib.
Yeah. That's awesome. No, that would be me with like any platinum game. That's with that stuff. So I know. Cool. All right. Now this one here, for some reason, in 2010, when I started playing it, this is Oliver's choice. It's Heavy Rain. I was like, I felt like I was, and maybe somebody else had this vibe. I kind of felt like I was playing an X-Files game. I don't know why, but that's just me. But go ahead, Oliver.
Heavy Rain, I remember before it came out, and they did the whole it was like the audition or whatever with the lady, the brown haired lady, sitting in the kitchen talking and doing all that, and everyone's like, "Whoa, Quantum Dreams over here cooking," right? And I knew that I needed to see what these guys were doing. Now, in hindsight, I remember how much people mocked Heavy Rain, right? And the QTE ness nature of the game. But I think that Heavy Rain was a really important moment in game history. I think it's almost, but not quite as important as Shadow of the Colossus, because there's good storytelling here. It's just a good story. Like you can completely divorce Heavy Rain from its gameplay aspects, and like you said, kind of an X Files vibe. But
Yeah.
you can it's that strong of a story that you can literally just make this a movie. You could just storyboard off of the game beats, and you have a nice, rich, complete story that just works. But I remember playing it and how realistic the acting was, right? Just everything is just legitimately right there in your face. Oh, we're really performing now. And for again, just for the younger people, remember 10 years prior. Just jump back 10 years. It's the year 2000. We didn't have anything like that in the year 2000. Like you still had very traditional animations here. Everything is mocapped. Everything is very well thought out and taken into consideration. The game is thoroughly mocked to this day for press X to Jason, but it tells a pretty heavy story that ultimately I was thinking about this just last week, and I was like, I don't know if I can play that game again because the context of my life has changed. Holy shit, that guy's ripped. What a jump. Man, we went from fucking Shelby
Heavy Rain, heavy
this
swole.
inhaler to this dude swole up. Let's go. Like, wow.
From Heavy Rain to Heavy Weights.
There we go.
to fucking gun show. It's like, yeah. So I think there was a great bamboozling that happens in Heavy Rain story wise, but also history wise. There was originally supposed to be separate, standalone DLC stories of each character. And they were going to start off with, and they did start off with the taxidermist. There was one episode starring Madison Page, right? She's kind of well, they're all the main character, really, right? It's like, uh, it was starring her, and she's just doing investigative reporting stuff. But what ended up happening was Sony came to Quantic Dream and said, "Stop what you're doing. We need you to do a version of this game that supports the PlayStation Move." All other DLC was just completely shut down to make up for that.
Of course.
Yep, that's exactly how that went down, and the PlayStation Move did not go nearly as well as they thought. Even though I think it's great. The PlayStation Move is great, but you should have done that.
I
So-
like Raising Crisis, but that's just me.
This is something
Right.
that this is I feel like looking back, this is a turning point in the industry a little bit, where this started a new push towards more of that cinematic and narrative drive, like making
Yes.
games more like movies or trying to make them seem more legit, because this was 2010, right? This was years before we started getting like the Telltale games that were known for their narrative and branching storylines. Like this feels like a little bit of a touchstone point where it kind of kicked off, and you could really see that for years there, how it happened, and then what they did with Detroit. And the only thing I'm going to say is, how dare you say they weren't cooking with Omicron the Nomad Soul, Quantic Dream. my Bowie game that came out before predates Heavy Rain. How dare you, sir? That was one of my favorite games on Dreamcast, just because
We
you look
weren't
at
ready
the
for
cover
that
art.
game.
Yeah, no, you look at that
Yeah.
cover and you're just like, is that David Bowie? What is this game? But yeah, emotional stakes, branching storyline, and honestly, that film noir style, man, it is hard not to get pulled in to something like that. And
Yeah.
and especially when we started to go into the video games of that generation where everything was browns and grays, like it stood out.
And I think the one thing that they did exceptionally well that I'm hard pressed to see anyone or to think of anything in the past 16 years that's come close to it. The sheer number of branching paths that happen in Heavy Rain is definitely one of its hallmark game mechanics. You play as 4 different characters. They can die. They're not immortal, right? You can kill or accidentally just mess up on a really critical moment and lose that character permanently. The story continues without them. You're just now missing the context of what would have been happening with them, which it's just utterly spectacular. And it's like, hey, they can all die, and then you need to start over or at least reload where someone was still alive. But it's a really kind of key thing. And even as far as the choose your adventure aspect of it, uh, I remember in my one completed playthrough of the game that was just so amazing as playing as Ethan, and you need to get these certain pieces of information to track down to find your son, right? And the pieces of information that you're actually getting will ultimately culminate in being the address where he is. And if you don't get that piece, you don't have it when it comes down to the wire, when it comes down to where the hell is this kid at, right? Like you'll get the street and the name and this and the numbers that start coming up, and it's like you got to make a choice on where you're going, and it's like, oh dear God, right? I didn't make this decision then, or I thought this was a bridge too far in a separate part of the game way back early. So really the consequences actually do come back and affect the long game and how that's going to go. And even each of the characters has separate endings depending on the things that you're doing. It all just kind of flows together well. People are going to hate me for this, but it's kind of a masterpiece for its time.
I would say that's not a stretch. I mean, people when you hear masterpiece with something like that, when you're talking about games, they're thinking of the game as a whole. It's like no, like the experience is
Right.
what the masterpiece is, like what we take away from this. I mean, what they did with Detroit afterwards, like you can straight up, it doesn't matter how important the characters in the story in Detroit, they can die. Like they just take it to that next step, what they've built
Yep.
off that.
Yeah.
And we were talking about branching storylines and like your choices actually having weight just barely before this game with Mass Effect, but you didn't see how far that got and then eventually shrunk back down at the end of Mass Effect
Right.
3
Shrunk back down
until
to
like
color.
after like this had come out and what we saw. But I mean, you're looking at games like I want to say, if I remember right, because it's been a while since I played it, Witcher 2, like the second act in Witcher 2 I remember can be completely different based on the changes that you had. Same thing towards the end, it kind of comes back in that shape, but that was just cool to see that kind of like push in video games for your choices mattering. And how, after like talking about this too, how surprising it really is that it's kind of lightning in a bottle to do it well. Like a lot of people try to, or a lot of companies trying to shove these decisions in there and make it feel kind of like it's important, but maybe not. But having actual game changing experiences based on your choices is few and far between that feels, good like this. Still.
Yeah, I want to chime in on like what you guys said about gaming masterpiece and as a product of its time. Like the topic tonight is aging as a gamer, right? So it's good to understand when these games came out and the limitation of the technology at the time and the innovation that they've made, because I think we're kind of like people tend to measure what we have now versus what they did back then, which is not the same.
That's literally the reason I started the whole retrospective series. That
Yeah.
very first one we did when we were talking about Westwood Studios, just understanding when they did Command and Conquer, why that was such a genre defining thing. It predated so many titles that we know nowadays are classics. It started so many things at a time when there was no way the technology should have done it. That's what's so crazy. Like early to mid 90s making games that have had these like massive changes on the industry. It's really hard to explain that to people, but just watching even some of these older things with these devs, like the behind the scenes things, like the amount of stuff they were able to coax out of these systems versus what we've talked about, what we get today with like all the UE5 stuff that's come out where people just like churning and burning, baby, get that stuff out. It looks pretty, but it's like the tools are different, more computing power, all that stuff. But yeah, like the creativity, we used to have to use our imagination. So did the devs.
Yep. And
like
with the constraint of what they had to work with, which is like some wizardry. You know what I'm saying? Like, before we move on, I just want to give a shout out to Final Fantasy 12, because that's exactly what I thought of. Like, how is this on the PlayStation? This is crazy.
Bingo.
the PlayStation 2 can do this. I did not know it was capable of having it look this good. So shout out to it.
I feel like we could do a top 5 or discussion of games that at the end of a console's life cycle like blew up the rule book.
Yeah.
Stuff just like that. Just like there's no way this should have been on this console and this technology. It's always super interesting, end of a console's life cycle, what you get as it transitions into the next. Anyway.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's actually on the same topic, but on the February 24th, this was Nick's choice, came out in 2000. Speaking of things of witchcraft and making things work on hardware of its time, I think this one was one of those games, to be honest with you, Fear Effect.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I guess I'm on an anime kick this week, especially when you look at this. I picked what I did with Samurai Champloo, but Fear Effect and its cell shaded graphics was definitely something that stood out in the industry at the time. It's another unique style, but this one is really kind of remembered for its fear meter that's in here, like the health that you see up there in the upper left-hand corner. Like your fear meter was your health meter. It did have that unique look, like I mentioned, but also had that classic like tank control scheme you got in Resident Evil. So it was a little slow, a little bit clunky. And if I remember it, with those 4 discs, it had a super long load time with this game. So it required a lot of patience to play. It was definitely like more actiony, and they had like full on action parts of the game compared to something like Resident Evil. But yeah, man, this was something that was, what's that?
Did it have tank control also?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Just from that angle, especially. Oh my god! But yeah, no, this is one that just kind of oozed style. Like whatever they had to do, they built this world. They have that kind of realistic looking background, but then that cell shaded character animation just makes it run a little bit smoother. So just a cool thing they did on the technology at the time.
And there's a reason when he talked about the load times were so long on that game. And that's because instead of using pre-rendered 2D backgrounds, what they did was they were streaming straight from the disc, or they were using looping full motion video to make it look that way. And Fear Effect is one of the first games to even attempt to do cell shading. Everyone knows the big one that nails it, right? Jet Set Radio.
Yeah.
But this obviously predates Jet Set by just a hair, I believe.
Also, like PlayStation 1, like a lot of the PlayStation 1 games, like the polygons didn't even connect to each other, right? Digitally. And so to have it like a little bit smoother looking like this.
Yeah. I mean, if you want a good like feel for what happens in a console generation, look at the catalog at the beginning of the PlayStation 1's lifespan as we started going into 3D polygon graphics, and the end of PlayStation 1 going into PS2.
Man, Ace, how many times have you heard me say that?
So yeah, literally look at Jumping Flash, and then look at Vagrant Story.
Right? It's a night and day difference. That's how it goes. Right? Yeah. If you look at the beginning of the PS2 era, right? You've got
you've got Metal Gear Solid 2, you got Fantavision, you got Street Fighter EX3.
Dark Cloud is a launch title for the
Dark
PS2.
Cloud and Evergrace.
Dynasty Warriors 2, actually.
Yep. Dynasty Warriors 2.
Yep.
Right, you've got all that, and then bam, Final Fantasy 12. You're like, what the fuck did you guys do? It's the same hardware. They figured some stuff out. You gave them a few years, they start cooking.
Funny enough. Go ahead, Nick.
No, I was gonna transition to the next one, so we don't get too far off a tangent, because you did mention a Muso, and our Muso boy here is Muso good to go on his choice.
Well, I was gonna say the Muso series on the PS2 definitely show you how Koei Tecmo and W-Force really tamed the PS2 from Dynasty Warriors 2 all the way to this upcoming game next here, which he says it's not a mistake, but he's previewing in 2005 and 2006 Dynasty Warriors 5 and Samurai Warriors 2.
Now, there is a reason why I put this particular cover up as the link, and that's because, again, Dynasty Warriors 5 and Samurai Warriors 2, those two games, two of the most polished iterations of their respective franchises on the PS2. 2005, 2006. And then in 2007, you get that first crossover game, Warriors Orochi, which features the rosters from Dynasty Warriors 5 and Samurai Warriors 2. It all
There we
comes
go.
together.
It all comes together, just like
But
the Orochi Warriors game.
exactly. But it's not just it's not just the polish that these games have actually come to come to a showcase, but the reason I bring these up is because these are actually two of the first games that I ever imported for a console. So when I was chilling out on the Koei Warriors forums, and I saw the news that Samurai Warriors 2 and Dynasty Warriors 5 were coming out, when they did, I was like, I really want to sit down and actually play these games. So this was what actually got me out of my, effectively got me out of my comfort zone and started looking into importing and also into modifying my own system. It was because of Dynasty Warriors 5 that by the time I wound up losing this system in a move, unfortunately, I had a PS2 with a translucent blue shell.
That's pretty cool.
And it was the big box PS2. But that shell had the flip top, so that way I could use the swap disk for importing and booting backups and foreign games. So my first time playing this and Samurai Warriors 2 was in Japanese. Had very little idea what the fuck was going on, but the muscle memory was there from the previous games, so I was able to pick up what I needed to make my way through the game, and then of course I'd go on to good old game FAQs to look up translations, and then eventually, a year or so later, the games hit the States, and it's like, I'm fine double dipping, and I buy them in the US too.
Game FAQs is a sure sign of gaming or aging as a gamer. I would say
That's how you know you're talking to an old person.
exactly.
You're like, just go over to Game Facts. Let's look at this. Let's look at this guide with ASCII art. And boy, it was always incredible work.
And I wanted to learn that art just because of the
Same,
game.
dude. When I was in IRC, man, chat rooms, I was all about that.
IRC.
I know, I hate it.
ICQ.
Yep. Sonic
I
rings.
haven't tried to throw in an ICQ alert noise could make us all triggered.
We'll just be sweating instead.
I just have this one instead. There you go. That's a different one, but all good. All right. So which day did this come out of? Oliver chose this on what year? 2009. Dead Rising Chop Till You Drop.
The game that makes me sad. Every time Capcom does something, it's like, you know what? It's like my wife says: gives with one hand, but takes with the other.
Saying that online? Is she listening?
Yeah, she's here. So she knows we're like, yeah, they give with one hand, they take with the other. So the idea behind Dead Rising Chop Till You Drop was the Wii was here. It was clearly not going away. Everyone kind of finally realized, oh, we need to take this hardware seriously. This isn't just some stuff that we can throw away.
Big surprise is the sales numbers.
Yeah, it's rough. This is rough. You think, oh, it's Dead Rising like on the Xbox 360. Well, no, this is like a Frankenstein of Dead Rising. It looks like Dead Rising. This is the multiverse variant. Okay, it's like we just came off Tobey Maguire. All right, Tobey Maguire is the original Dead Rising. They said, look, every homie that played Dead Rising, if you start saying to him, he ain't my boy, but the brother is heavy, a fucking chorus is going to follow because everyone got absolutely destroyed by those configs in the original Dead Rising. That's it's one of the worst things that can happen to you.
Frank's face in this too, dude. It is
not it.
It looked like he ran into a wall.
Multiple times.
It looks like Dead Rising, but it's not.
It's a Dead Rising homunculus.
It is. It's
Frankenstein.
It's some real nonsense. And what had happened is that they wanted to get the game over on the Wii. They really did. Resident Evil 4 had caught that Wii port and it went over like gangbusters, right? They're like, hey, put the aiming on the motion controls. And they were like, that's a good idea. So Dead Rising Chop to You Drop is not built on the original Dead Rising engine. It's actually built on the Resident Evil 4's Wii ported engine,
Oh
which
Lord.
would explain why things look the way that they look. And the game it doesn't have the Dead Rising time limit. It's actually very mission based and structured, and you take all your missions from Otis inside the security office. There are psychopaths that were completely cut out of the game that now just show up as regular zombies. Every gun in the game is not the weapons that are in the original Dead Rising. All the guns are the guns from Resident Evil 4.
What?
Like, what? Like, you know? And there's more like strict emphasis on gunplay. It's a shooting game. You're going to be doing that. Oh, also, the original Dead Rising, I believe at its peak, could handle 800 simultaneous unique zombies on screen at once. They
Yeah.
had to chop it down to 100, and it shows. It's just a
But
hot
there-
mess game. You're never going to find anyone that's like, I love that game. No, no.
I think it's people don't prefer to talk about it.
Right. We just don't acknowledge it even exists. You're like, no, there was no Dead Rising between 1 and 2.
We don't talk about Bruno.
Just nope, we don't cover that one. But it's notable enough to point out the fact that even a beloved company that literally spends their time innovating and doing incredible things just throughout the past 40 years, yeah, they can drop the ball. Like Capcom has dropped the ball.
Yeah.
We know that they dropped the ball inside of 3-4 years there with Street Fighter Cross Tekken and just all kinds of stuff, right? Nintendo has dropped the ball plenty of times, right?
Yeah,
But
I can see.
you gotta
Go
you
ahead.
gotta give them the room to fail.
Yeah.
Right? You got to give them that room to fail so they go, oh, definitely never fucking do this again in the future. And by golly, it worked. If they say, hey, we're gonna do a remaster on Dead Rising Drop to the Drop to You Chop, I'm like, whoa. What are you doing? Like, nobody asked for this, nobody wants this.
Easy there,
What you
Slim.
haven't done.
It could probably come off as a mode, right? Not
Yeah.
necessarily its own game. But I wouldn't be surprised if the devs were like, man, we really can't do the standard Dead Rising on a Wii because of the limitations. So they were like, we gotta make it something else. We gotta call it something else. It can't be the same game.
My wife said it's the Highlander 2. That is a really mean thing to say.
Ouch!
You're like, damn, why did you bring up that movie? Of all the things. Wow. Like,
Highlander.
do you hate Michael Ironside? Why would you insult that man like that?
My God, it's like,
Wow, but
Wow.
she's out of line, but she's out of line, but she's right.
Got the spirit.
Yep. Like, yeah, no, she fucking nailed it. So, in short, never play that game. Don't do it.
Yeah, the too long didn't read. We got there in the end. Don't play.
Don't play it.
All right. I think this next game here is a game that you should be playing though. 225 JSRF came out only on Xbox, according to this lovely little artwork here.
Hell yeah.
Tell us
I'm
what you know
super,
about this.
super glad that Oliver was talking about this just a second ago because it's one of my favorite games from the Xbox generation. Jet Grind Radio defined the Dreamcast era for me. Like, it was one of the games I had to have. It was one of the first ones I played from that. So seeing the follow-up release on Xbox was a super nice surprise because I didn't have a PS2 at the time. I had the OG Xbox. I had to make a choice. I didn't have that much money. My parents didn't either. So getting this after knowing Jet Grind, I was like, okay, cool. I want to check this out. Love the soundtrack. Love that this added free exploration. A little weird sometimes because it's very large and very easy to get lost. But I still love that. And it was definitely on my must playlist from the era. This is one that's still like, for a while there had it on my 360 as well. And I think I had it on my Xbox One. I think it was one of the backwards compatible back then. But I go back and play this every once in a while just for the vibes.
Nice. Yeah, you think this is there's a remake plan or a sequel plan, something along those lines, right?
There was news about that. Yeah, we have no idea where that project is in development or what's happening with it. We haven't heard anything since. But yeah, there was discussions of it. Blues in
And so-
chat, they might be able to
and,
chime
and
in on that
until
one.
then, and until then, we have Bomb Rush Cyberpunk.
Oh yeah, that's right. I mean, it has the same like syllables too. They're trying to go with the same
Also, the shiny cover art working at the video game store.
foil.
You
Foil
can see
cover.
this one far away. Always face this one out. So
Yeah.
cool.
The crimson red, yeah, absolutely. So this next one here, this one is from Ace, and this one hits close to home, probably to me and Nick, because Bally Midway was in Chicago, right outside, and I saw the building. So tell us a little bit more about what's going on here.
So, well, if we're gonna sum it up, Bally Midway is like this. This is the name in pinball. When it comes to arcade machines of the non-video game variety, so AKA like literally stuff like stuff like pinball and skee ball. A lot of the more physical, the more analog amusement machines out there. Bally Midway is like that. They're the go-to. Like you couldn't step foot in a pizza parlor without seeing something with Bally or Midway on it.
Yeah.
Back 720. Remember when we were limited to the technology at the time of spinning that many times in the air on your skateboard?
We didn't even know what 900 was.
We didn't.
Nope. The doors that Tony Hawk opened. But just getting back to the significance of this day. This was when the pinball divisions of both Bally and Midway were literally merged to, form this giant of a pinball manufacturer. I mean, like even if you think back to, even if you think back to like arcade or pinball machines that might have had, say, Williams on them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember that.
You see Williams.
Did Bally Midway do Rampart?
This is a Midway Treasure, so I think they did, but they were Atari first, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were Atari first.
Yeah.
But again, just with Bally and Midway fusing and, with them actually, hitting the market when they did, it was a bona fide turning point. Like the entirety of the amusement space, the zeitgeist there had just completely been rewritten. And, this company was responsible for a lot of the time that I had spent in the arcades, even before getting into stuff like Street Fighter, because I love pinball. So thank you, Bally Midway, for making my childhood awesome.
Thank you, Bally Midway.
Thank you, Bally Midway. Also,
they really did lock it down.
There was a gym called Bally also in Chicago, and that was kind of confusing for when I was a kid. So just want to throw that out there.
Oh yeah, no, that gym was nationwide.
Bally Total Fitness, my man.
Bally, different company, right? That's no relation. Yeah. Okay.
No relation.
Oh, all right. Well, this one here, who picked this one? Oliver, of course it's you. Of course it's you.
Me.
So this game, I said, yo, you guys think Dark Souls is hard? You guys ever play Ghosts and Goblins?
Oh, Capcom hates kids.
There you go. Capcom hates kids. Woo! So, this is 2021. They went ahead and did a new Ghosts and Goblins game for the 35th anniversary of the franchise. And it is designed by the OG guy, right? And the most divisive thing about the game is they wanted visually to go for a storybook, right? And so that's like the actual play graphics. Well, you can see it on screen right now. It's like, you're kind of doing a weird thing, but it was very divisive for the people. And unlike when I go, I don't like how Link looks in Wind Waker, like everyone's going, no, I'm going, that's completely understandable. It's very odd looking, even to me. And I played the hell out of this game. Now, granted, because Capcom and Nintendo simultaneously hated children, I've only actually beaten one of the. I don't even know what we call the franchise as a whole, because they're not all ghosts and goblins, but I
Ghouls
mean,
and ghosts.
yeah,
And
right,
Ghouls and
ghouls
Ghosts.
and ghosts,
Yeah.
ghosts and goblins, yeah, hee-haws and hula hoops. I don't fucking know. Tricks,
Yeah,
monk ass
beat it?
monks.
Did you beat it, or did you get the true ending where you have to beat it again?
And that's the thing. No, I've actually true ending my way through Super Ghouls and Ghosts, and I mean, what incredible games! They demand such precision out of a child.
Yeah.
They're like, you better figure it the fuck out, kid. And you're like, I'm 8. I don't even know to feed myself on time. They're like, sounds like a you problem to me, mister. Like, no.
Yeah,
They're great, though.
it's interesting you
They're
say
great
that too. There
games.
could be an entire discussion around just video games of that era versus what we get now. I forget, it was like a YouTube short that popped in my feed, but it was someone talking about how the way that we were raised on the games that we played during these eras really focused on learning patience, learning on problem solving, and recognizing patterns like early on, because we didn't have all the safety nets that you have in gaming nowadays. You don't have the ability to get onboarded with a tutorial or learning mechanics as they're brought up and explained to you like they are nowadays. Back then, you just had to figure it out. You put in Super Ghosts and
And
Goblins, you're just going, and it's like,
if you
what
don't have the
buttons? What do these
instruction
buttons
manual,
do? And you're just pressing. You're learning in the moment and
right?
getting
On the job
super
training.
frustrated. Yeah. So it's one of those things, like I remember during that like era in my early 20s when I was playing Counter-Strike and getting frustrated and punching my computer tower. Like, yeah, I didn't have good outlets for my rage, but at the same time, I am way more patient now because I look back at a lot of the games that I played and going back to play them and be like, what the hell? How did I do this? And not like break more things as a kid. Because now I would break this controller, but I'm paying $70 for it. Like, I'm not replacing that.
That's where we're
There you
at.
go.
Little side thing that connects this and those ghosts and goblins back to what Ace was saying. Like, people may have forgotten, but stuff like Ghost and Goblins started off in the arcade, and the difficulty of many games back in that time was artificial, right? Intentionally designed to it's you could in theory win it, right? But the odds of you being able to do so were very low because it was ultimately trying to extract
Yeah.
more money out of you to play. And so a game like Ghosts and Goblins is the odds are quite literally stacked against you. And it took quite a bit of time. This is something that just younger generations don't know. It took a lot of time for developers to get away from that mindset, just because it's like, no, I already gave you the money, man. It's at my house. You play Contra though. Oh no, you get used to that getting your shit shot up screen, right? Every time hearing that sound, pew, every time you got hit, it didn't matter if you took a fucking toe hit in Contra, your ass was gonna die the most dramatic death known to man, right? And it took them time to get away from this. But as we've gotten older, I can sit down and play like Super, Ghouls and Ghosts. I only beat that recently within like 3 years, and it's now because I'm a 44-year-old man where I go, you're trying to fuck with me. I'm not going to let you, right? Oh, this game is gonna make you want to break your controller. I won't, because this shit costs too much.
I paid for it.
I'm not breaking it. You can't make me. I'll do one of these numbers. I'm like, game's hard, and sit that bitch down and walk off. I'm like, I'm gonna come back when I've cooled off. You can't trick me. I'm not 12, right? I'm like 4 times that now. I got your number, motherfucker. That's how it works though now. That's that, but that comes with age. And this is the cute thing that I want to tie in. Because I don't know if you got told the same thing, Nick, but this is all very related. One of my biggest worries being a parent at the age that I was, and I said to the pediatrician, I was like, I'm just scared because of how old we are, right? We're advanced age parents. And he turned and he said, look, do not worry about it. He's like, you guys are going to do great at this because of your advanced age. He's like, all the families I've seen and the children, he was like, the ones that have older parents tend to have better outcomes because you are now more patient. You are able to carry that wisdom, right? You understand the bigger flow of the overall flow of life better. So you're going to be more gentle. You're going to be more attentive. You're going to do all these things differently because you're older and you're not young. You're not impulsive. Any of that other stuff. And it was such a relief to hear that and then to get to see it and put it into practice every single day. And that same thing kind of happens here with games, especially with those old ball buster games where they're trying to rile you up, trying to get you mad, psychologically get to you. We're all old enough to go, I see that you're trying to piss me off on purpose, and I'm going to consciously choose to not let you do that. And then suddenly things that were hard just aren't as difficult. You go, oh nope, that was fair. I fucked up. No, the game isn't cheating me. I messed up. I know how I messed up. Okay, and you can come back and give him that elbow. That's the score.
All right.
Well, we could do an entire episode on gaming as parents, and I'm sure we will down the line.
We will.
But not to take too much time for the rest of this. I'm ready to hop in the 26, James. I'm sure you've got this booted up for me already.
I got it right here. Speaking of elbows, they're going to be throwing this down in this game. And this is your pick, of course. So.
Andre in chat, I know you're here. And some closet fans.
2009.
2009 on the PS3. By this point for me, I was a full-fledged fan. This was my first Yakuza deep game playthrough, was this title. Because I didn't have a PS2, so I went back to play Yakuza 1 and 2. 3 was my first real entry point into the series. The recent remake that's come out has kind of shined a light on how so many fans are falling out of love with RGG Studios, and for good reason. What's happening that we could spend hours talking about. It is a thing, and it sucks. But this, looking back at this when it came out, this was a big story change for the main character. It went from that transition of the Yakuza Tokyo Underworld to now you're running an orphanage, and it's more about trying to get back into this life and trying to have a life of your own and raise kids, even despite your background. And also, there's a lot of political intrigue. It was way more focused on that for this storyline. So, like I said, it was my first entry point to it, but this is what made me fall in love with the series. The very deep, mature story, the political intrigue behind it, and just the main character very clearly struggling with the fact I've got this dark past, but I'm trying to make up for it now. It also had a lot of series staples that showed up in this game that's been a through point for the rest of the series too. So karaoke, 3D maps, that kind of stuff started in Yakuza 3. It wasn't in the originals. So stuff we now have were because of this game. This is when it started to really take off for at least people like myself. Also, Revelations in this game. Revelations, my beloved. I miss them so much. I'm so upset they took them out. They were so freaking funny. If you guys never played this game, look up Yakuza 3 Revelations. He gets moves in the game, attacks and finishers on Revelations that he just comes up with when he sees people interacting in real life. And there's some real freaking funny stuff. And he's capturing with his little flip phone and then just trying to type about it. He's I've got this inspiration. I need to blog about it, kind of thing. And it was the way they tied that into just oh my God, this old woman that just did a flip off a bike and kicked a dude in the face trying to save a puppy or something. I've thought of this new finishing move. Yeah, no, it's fun. It's so much fun. Definitely, Andre saying in chat, struggled in the US, but this one kind of kickstarted a lot of my interest in other titles, just because of where this started things for the series.
That was the first Yakuza on the PS3, right? Because 2 was on the PS2. Okay,
yeah.
Gotcha.
1 and 2 were on the PS2. And then this one made the leap to PS3. And like I said, big difference. They went bigger with the story, made it a lot more political intrigue based. And then that building that they did with 3 kind of carried into 4 and then 5. They all kind of felt samey after that point, which is a lot of people who look at the series who don't know it can easily say that. I can agree on face value. But it's everything they do under the hood beyond that. This game definitely started a lot of that. So just a cool thing to kind of go back out to. Right. Oh, and it took place in Okinawa too, so just different setting.
All right. Speaking of different setting, moving on to the 27th. Nick's also Nick's choice, 2 Point Museum.
Yeah, something I don't talk about as much on this pod. My love of management and tycoon games. I back in the day, I played a lot of a game called Theme Hospital, and that was
Hell
done
yeah.
by the
Yep.
people at
Awesome.
Bullfrog.
Yeah, Bullfrog. That was one of the defining games of my childhood. Something I always look back on fondly. The people that worked at Bullfrog eventually went on to create this company, Two Point, and they did the 2 Point Hospital game, then 2 Point College or Campus, and then this one, which is 2 Point Museum. I've played every single title and I've 100%ed every single title. It's one of those
Damn.
ones that when the game comes out, I just buy it, no questions asked, because I know I'm going to be putting a significant portion of time on it. This series is peak me. I just love these games so much. There's something so nostalgic about it. I love being able to be creative with the content, and you can put a significant amount of time into these games. It's just a lot of fun. I love just, like I said, building my own space. Museum was a definitely a different kind of like twist on it. Like I said, they did the hospital thing again when they relaunched. They did the college one, which was definitely a twist. So museum at first, when I saw they were doing a museum one, I was just like, I don't know if this is going to really work for it. I don't know if it's exactly going to be my thing. But of course, game came out. I saw it. I bought it, and I loved it. So yeah, that's only a year ago too. Like I'm starting to think like they've done a decent amount of DLC for these as well, and every single one for the most part, I would say like 90% of the DLCs they've come out for these titles have been 100% worth the price.
Cool. Awesome, man. I like your the next choice here too. We're moving on to the 28th. Also your pick.
Yeah, we're just rapid fire. I'm getting through these for you guys. We got
Yeah.
time. We got time on not on our side. Star Wars Dark Forces, man. Like, oh my gosh. Talk about another one from my childhood that just kind of stuck with me and the throughput of games that I played just because of the first one in the series. This is another one. This is not a Doom clone, despite what you'd think, like looking at it. LucasArts actually made their own internal Jedi engine for this. This was their attempt to enter the FPS market. I remember this one because it had huge maze like levels. I got lost so often, even going back to play this game again. When they started releasing the games on like GOG and when they started doing sales on the Star Wars Select like collection on Steam, I'd go back and play these. So yeah, like looking at these, it reminds me of getting vibes of, like Chex Quest, just like looking at this right now. It's driving me a little nuts. But jumping was integrated into the gameplay, which was something that was different at the time. Again, heavily telling chat right now. This is 95 that this came out. So being able to jump in like this kind of game with these giant levels, like that was a big deal. And getting through the levels, you actually had to jump. It wasn't just for exploration to like secret areas. There was like small little jumping puzzles, which would drive you nuts because there's times when it feels like you're on ice skates trying to get over some of these platforms. But this also kind of fed into more Star Wars universe stories, which was a childhood passion of mine. I loved Star Wars like a lot growing up. It was one of the things I shared with my dad. Like he got me really into it. So I loved the thought of just like other things happening in the universe that tie into the characters or places I recognize. And Dark Forces kind of started that with Kyle Katarn. Big Kyle Katarn stan after this point, boys. Like this point on. Definitely really cool also to see a lot of locations I recognize from like the movies and just kind of like seeing a different area of it. It's part of the reason I love the Jedi Outcast and Jedi Academy games so much is because it started with Dark Forces for me.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I saw this one a lot. I think this was on PlayStation also, but I definitely saw it on the PC shelves like all the time. So pretty popular at the time. All right. Last game, the 28th. No, we got one more. We got Xenosaga Episode 1, Der Will zur Macht. What does that mean, Ace?
It means the will to power.
There you go.
Now, Xenosaga, like this was, well, as I'm sure you folks have probably been seeing on social media lately, especially on Twitter. You know, there's been a lot of resurgent interest in Xenogears, you know, one of my all-time favorite RPGs. And because of some stuff that happened with the team that worked on it, they split off from Squaresoft. And when I saw that this game was being released on the PS2, I'm like, wait a minute. Xeno, something looks familiar about this. Did a little bit more research, and it turns out, yeah, you know, the folks that worked on Xenogears were actually they had actually split off to form their own studio, and with Xenosaga, they had a shot at retelling the story that they were trying to with Xenogears from the beginning. Now, this entry in particular, it's kind of slow paced. There's a lot of cinematics in the game, that you have to try and get through.
Yep.
But again, I had to call out this game because I appreciated not only the fact that the team at Monolith Soft actually got another shot to try and tell the story that they were trying to tell, but again, just as Jagos is mentioning in the chat, when the CEO left the company, that changed a lot of their development trajectory, and the game was cut short. The series was cut short.
Supposed to be 7 of them, wasn't there?
Ugh.
Right. Xenogears on the PS1, that was supposed to be episode 5 of like a 6 or 7 part story, which
Crazy.
they tried to recompile and retell with Xenosaga, and those, what was again supposed to be a 6-7 part story, wound up being cut down to 3 games. So there was a lot of behind the scenes stuff going on with Monolith, literally on the first 2 PlayStation consoles that it ultimately led to them just not really being able to finish the story the way they wanted to. And now they have, they've gotten one more chance with the Xenoblade series.
Man, that's crazy. This is definitely one of the ones I remember from that era of just like, I mentioned it before, but I got into Final Fantasy X, so seeing games like Xenosaga, I was really interested. I played the first one. I was like, oh, this is going to be awesome. There's a series of these. Can't wait to play them. I just didn't when I started hearing about like what had happened to the series, and I'm just like, I guess I won't check it out.
Now, I would definitely say it's worth checking out. I mean, hell, I sit down and revisit these games regularly.
Ain't nobody got time for that, man. I was just talking before we hopped on here, like I'm holding it together as is with some of these games.
Fair enough.
Speaking of aging and games and having a kid and time
and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's like that. It's like that.
Wait a minute.
Yep. I had to bring that up. I had to bring it up. Yeah, on the 28th of 2017, February, River City Ransom Underground came out, and one of the reasons that I found this right here at the tail end of everything, is because the game just got delisted. Just got delisted, I want to say at the end of December. So now you can't even buy it. Like, nope. It was only released on Steam. But there's kind of an interesting history behind it. I mean, it was a Kickstarter game. And as far as I remember, there were only ever 2 developers behind of it. One of them was Bannon Rudis, right? And did we have him on our old show?
Yes. We had Bannon on the MCB.
Specifically because of River City Underground, and these guys, Arc System Works currently holds the licensing for the Kunio-kun series, and so the fact that they were able to get this released at all as just a pair of devs, right, was incredible, right? And unfortunately, the game had a lot of problems when it launched, like mostly connection issues. We ran into plenty of progression bugs. Like, God, I don't even think we ever sat down and finished the co-op as a group. Like, no, it was bad. It was really, really, really rough, and I just haven't gone back to it yet to see. But yeah, this, when people talk about things like game preservation, this is what they're talking about, right? It's like you can't get it now because of the license ran out, right? And they're not renewing it. But, hey, everything kind of worked out because Bannon Rudis works at Way Forward now, and he basically has been in charge of doing the River City games that have been put out by Way Forward. So, all's well that ends well. But being there at the beginning, watching this, like, no, he would do streams when he could figure out how to stream, because it's so far back in time. But he was actually doing streams showing the animation process for like everything, and everyone's like, "Oh, how's he doing?" He's like, "Well," like, and he's just showing how he's just working on one single punch, and how he's constantly going through it over and over and over again, and talking about how do you get inspired for this stuff. And he's like, "No, you go outside, or you have a punching bag in the office, and you actually practice the move that you're trying to do, and think about how that comes about." So it's like, no, he's really big into wrestling and things like that. But it was so interesting to finally get back behind the scenes and get to see, how this was going to shake out. Also, because of this game, this was the very first time I ever heard the song River City Handsome, which I'm still listening to this day because I'm an idiot. Like, no, it just slaps. It's just a good song.
Nah, you and me both. And of course, for the folks that watch me on stream, the character icon that I use, that I have been using since the Metro City Boys podcast, was inspired by Glenn from River City Ransom Underground.
Yep, it's true. It's true. It's 100% true. I was there. Gandalf. I was
3,000 years ago.
I was there. I saw it happen.
No, I'm citing the deep magics because I was there when it was written. Damn it.
No, it's that important. We're going to be going into a brand new segment here in just a minute, right? And all I can say is that our love of River City, I think that's one of the things that made Ace and I friends, right? And we couldn't get the certified bangers like Absalom without the original River City to go, yeah, what if we've got a bit of persistence here, right? Where it's not just moving through stages, things like that. And even now, for me, River City, whether it doesn't matter which one it is, they set the standard on open world exploration and moving around and having that kind of persistence. So, okay, well, if we're not going to game you over, how else are we going to punish you, right? When homies sit down and they're talking about Scott Pilgrim versus the World, the game, no, you're really playing River City. You're playing River City with a Canadian skin over it. That's what you're actually doing.
Yep.
Which is also a certified banger, which also went through a delisting problem there for a couple of years. Yeah, that was something. But yes, that is it's a game to play. I might actually get around to reinstalling that and see if those issues got sorted out in the long run, since I still have it on my Steam account. Like, and you can still play it if you own it. You can still play it, but no use sense.
I think they're also releasing the sequel to Scott Pilgrim this Friday, right? So it's pretty cool.
Is that this Friday?
Scott Pilgrim EX, I think. I think it is this Friday.
This week?
This week, I think so.
God, I'm about to be broke.
Me too, bro. We got some stuff coming up. But yes, guys, that was this week in gaming history with Memory Card Chronicles. All right, you guys are probably wondering, God, where did you guys get that cool ass hat? Or in GQ, where did you get that shirt? Well, Ace, tell them they can get this gear.
Where did we get it? Where did we get it? Where does he get those wonderful toys? Excellent question. I'm going to tell you. GQAsianDude-shop.fourthwall.com. That right there, of course, is it's the Gaming Academy PX. It's the public exchange. This is the spot where you want to go if you want to grab yourself some, decent, well, not decent, some pretty freaking high quality gear, and also help support the show. I mean, we've got hats, we've got shirts, we have mouse pads that we debuted last week, and this week we're featuring something special. The Gamer Quotient desk mat.
Let's go. Let's see if I have it. Oh wait, it's right here.
Now, the desk mat just as with the mouse pad, just as with every other piece we have on the store, it's designed for people who believe gaming is more than just entertainment. It's growth, it's discipline, it's identity. When you wear Gamer Quotient, you're representing the mindset. And with what we got here, premiering tonight, this isn't just a desk mat. This is your command center. Whether you're grinding ranked matches, editing content, planning your next project, or just locking in for a focused session, your environment matters. The desk mat gives you full control space, smooth glide, and a clean look that helps elevate your entire setup. If you're serious about how you play and how you work, this is the item for you. Check out the full store and grab the desk mat at the link that I mentioned earlier. That's gqasiandude-shop.fourthwall.com. Upgrade your setup, represent the mindset.
Yeah, links everywhere. QR code's right there.
Yep.
I do have to add in a disclaimer.
Yeah.
The waifus do not come with the merch. We don't.
Yeah.
You're not
their
getting
own
a
stuff.
stuff in the mail.
Yeah, he only found out because he tried to order.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, wow, people are wearing our stuff. That's cool. I love it. All right. Well, thanks, Ace. Appreciate that, man. Coming up next, we have a new segment that Oliver will be leading his debut here on the show. So, guys, pay attention because this is a very important question that was posed in our Discord. And if you haven't joined yet, please join because this segment called Patch Notes, we're about to bring things up here into discussion. So, oh man, and I have this prep right here. Oh no, it's gone. Never mind. I don't have it prepped. But yes, Patch Notes it is. Oliver, tell us more what this is all about.
Well, the idea with the patch notes for this week is a question that I saw get posed, and I was like, that is a damn good question. And it's only really, truly questions that we can answer as being the older gamers. And so we've seen this idea, complete games, no microtransactions, LAN parties, no patches. That's the time that we came up in, right? But we're not talking about nostalgia. We're talking about design philosophy. Games used to be built differently, or do they just feel different because we're different, right? And so that's really what we're going to get into with this one of were things legitimately better? And so starting off, we have to start with the industry, right? Because that's the birthplace of those games, right? It comes from an idea, goes through a guide, who talks to another guy, and bam! Next thing you know, we're going out to the store, we're dropping our $40, $50, right? Games would ship finished. Now, a game may not necessarily be finished, even though it's shipped, right? As an example, No Man's Sky. We're having to go, Sean, stop, let us give you money. You made your point. And that was a decade ago. So now they evolve after release. So are the games actually better? Are they an upgrade? Or are we really just dealing with unfinished designs? So we're going to start with the man in charge, and we're going to work our way down the panel on what your quick take is on that. Are the games better, or are they just unfinished?
Oof, man. Well, I would argue that games back then were also unfinished because some games were not as of quality, right? But we were talking about earlier of limitation of the technology of the time. Because there were games like Super Mario World versus like another game that was coming out from like, another company that we didn't know about, like Jalico, right? So when was the last time you heard about that? Those guys came out in the same era, but just two different levels of quality of game. So, but to go back to your question, were games better back then? I think the real answer is they were more simple back then, right? I don't know if they were better, but they were much more simple. And I agree with you that this modern day of gaming, the selection is plenty. So if you don't like a game, don't force yourself to play it because there's so much more to choose from. Very neutral answer, I know.
It's fun to have a neutral answer because that's usually what happens when you posit these questions to me, and that's what I come up with. Is something that's very much just like yes, but no. It's like cool, not what I'm asking. I understand. I do that sometimes. I have to agree with him again here though. I'm with James. It's just they were different. I would personally say like on a pure technical level, games today are better. They offer so much more technologically advanced. That doesn't mean that they're better products. And that's what I have to differentiate with. There's plenty of games back then that I played that I feel were better products for what they were. There's a reason I went and bought Super Mario 3D World for my Switch to play with my wife and eventually with my daughter. Like fun game, older style, like good product, but I don't know if it's a better game than some of these other ones that I'm paying nowadays, especially when I'm comparing it to something like Cyberpunk 2077 in its current iteration. Like that game is just fantastic. Nothing like that back in the day. That is a much better game, a much better experience than anything I had back then. But as a product, was it better? We can have that discussion. That's what I got.
Right, there's a big think.
Yep.
Ace.
And you know how I get when it comes to talking about the value proposition behind a game, right?
Absolutely.
Growing up in the arcade era, it's like
Is Muso is not.
Close. But here's the thing, though. Growing up in the arcade era, you kind of learn to measure your time and measure the worth of a game by how many quarters you got to put in. With a lot of games, back in the 80s, 90s, even early 2000s, it's the form factor of their evolution. So you've got games like Street Fighter 2 that had so many different iterations, and I'm not just talking about the hacks, but I mean Street Fighter 2, Street Fighter 2 Dash, Street Fighter 2 Turbo, Super Street Fighter 2, Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo Grandmaster's Challenge. I could go on with just Street Fighter 2. But that's one game with different iterations as it was evolving into a more complete product. The form factor that evolution takes nowadays is more with, piecemealing after the initial foundational product comes out, DLC, post-launch support, that kind of thing. The post-launch is now included or intended to be attached to the main game instead of being sold as a separate piece of product. So I'm loath to say this, but I wouldn't say games were better back then so much as how they evolved, so much as how their evolution took place was different.
It's really, really funny that you say that, because like my end answer to this segment is going to essentially incorporate a whole lot of everything that all of you guys said, like, but really chopped down, but everyone's like, I don't know. like yes but no. There's a lot of yes but no's here, and I think we're going to continue to get that, and I think I'm going to end up in basically the same place as you guys did, because as we just work our way through it, lightning fast, Ace's answer actually folds into the next question, right? And that is that expanded content. Back in our day, as you said, with Street Fighter, right? There's so many versions of Street Fighter 2. There's so many versions of Street Fighter 2. They put out a new version of Street Fighter 2 on whatchamacallit,
on the Switch.
Yeah, on the damn Switch. They put out and didn't they put out Ultra Street Fighter 4 as well? Right? It's just like, oh boy, it just keeps going. But an expansion back in the day used to mean something significant. So we'll just use the easiest and upfront, well-known to most people version of an expansion. You sit down, you play the Sims 2. And I consider this the greatest expansion of all time, Sims 2 University, because the game stands alone by itself. It's just a darn good game. And then you have Sims 2 University, which adds a new stage of life to the Sims. They're like, we have our Sims go from baby to little kid to teenager, and then they're just an adult. And they're like, well, there's kind of more nuance to life than just that. They're like, there's kind of this weird in between young adult. And they were like, yeah, the college years where you're sorting those things out. But it's so big, it's so massive. You can spend 20, 30 hours just taking one sim, putting them through college so that they get a degree and they come back to the core game. And the college degree in The Sims 2 literally gives them a huge monster leg up in their career paths before they roll into their adult years. So you save a lot of time, you save a lot of life, and you can get a lot more out of that sim before they pass away. This was huge. Now, The Sims 4 has been out for a decade. They just keep releasing new stuff packs, little things here, little things there. They're not just doing, okay, we did a series of expansions and now we need to move on because the technology has improved so well. No. People are starting to believe that there's not going to be a Sims 5 because the Sims 4 is so profitable. I just read a breakdown on this the other day that all stuff combined together for the Sims 4, if you were to buy it all, it's going to set your ass back about $1,500. Good God. Okay, I spent 40 on The Sims and I spent 30 on the expansion. No, $70 is a lot better than spending $1,500. And this is what leads into this question. Expansions used to add content. Now monetization shapes the behavior of developers and the players. So does spending that extra money change how you're experiencing your game and how you're progressing in it? Headman.
Give me the statement one more time.
Expansion packs used to just add content, but now monetization is changing developer behavior as well as player behavior. And is that spending affecting your experience?
1000% it is. The reason for that is because we set a specific expectation for our purchase, right? Especially during this time of like frugality, like where we're gonna. I have X amount of dollars of luxury spend, right? And there's 20,000 games fighting for my attention, right? So am I gonna play the game that's gonna give me 20 hours of gameplay or 40 hours of gameplay because they cost the same? Right. And so maybe I'm overanalyzing this, but that does factor in on what and how I play and what I purchase, just because if I play a fighting game and I know there's going to be DLC characters to that, I know that I'll be limited to my experience and I'll be missing those characters. Right. In said fighting game, like Tekken or something, like a season pass. But if I play like an RPG, I'll get a full story, right? I'll get multiple endings, stuff like that. It's more of a experience for me. And I'm assuming these two are the same cost, right? So the monetization really just goes, well, how much more money do I want to spend on this? And the reason for this is because this is the reason why I quit Destiny 2. I used to be a Destiny 2 fan. First to second, all the way to the Red War, everything until to the Witch Queen. Then I started going, I bought an expansion, but I still have to buy the season pass. I'm done. And that's exactly what my answer is. It does affect it because that's what caused me to stop playing Destiny 2, and I haven't gone back.
There you go.
Yep, easy answer. Yes. Yes. Yeah, it absolutely does. Like,
wait. You got to turn to the side and say yes.
I'm not going to have enough time to talk about this tonight and everything else we got going on. Just yes, it does change. It's one of those things that I mentioned it earlier with 2 Point, with the 2 Point games. Like, it's worth every cent for me, and it absolutely makes me more judgmental of the product of a whole. Like, yeah, it changes how I experience that. Done. Ace, I don't know if you got anything different.
Nothing different. Yeah. Again, value proposition. Dollars to time played. How many quarters will it take me to get through this game? If I already have a good idea of how long the game's going to be or how much game I can get out of it for the quarters I know I'm going to be putting in, then yeah, I'm gonna go for it. So most definitely, the money that I spend on a game, the money that I'm expected to spend on a game, is definitely influencing what game I pick up.
There you go. All right. Now, here's what we got. Easier setup, but we all know this one. We know it well. So, back in our day, when games came out on cartridges, or even when games came out on disc,
Eugene in gaming is not being helped by now with you starting with back in our day.
back in our day, back in our day, in the peak, games came on cartridges, they came on CDs. What you bought at the store was what you got, with the exception of PC games. Okay, like PC, people who've been gaming on PC forever and a day are completely used to the idea of patches in the first place, right? You have to be literally, you need to be a console gamer to go, nope, games just came the way that they were, right? And as you know, when we hit that generation, when we hit the Xbox 360, when we hit the PS3, we were in a position where developers could patch a game after release to make those little corrections and things like that. The question at hand is, did you know let me rephrase this. The question is, in our time, a game was a game was a game, and what we got was what we got. And even with those bugs, sometimes those bugs made the experience. Sometimes those very bugs and those interesting quirks are what gave a game in its identity in the first place. So, did that type of permanence help us have the memories of those games versus the game that's constantly being updated over and over and over again to the point where it looks nothing like it did at launch? No Man's Sky, right? Completely different beast versus, the handful of different versions of Final Fantasy VII. Just in case people didn't know.
Right.
Well,
Look.
No, we'll start with Ace because now it's just fun. Go.
So yeah, I mean, I'm a console gamer from the start. So I was always of the mindset of we get what we got when it shipped. But I can definitely say that because of that permanence, that really did shape my memories of it shaped my memories, and it shaped how I interacted with games coming up, and it shapes how I interact with games now, because it's like, as much as I look forward to post-launch stuff for games like Monster Hunter or Street Fighter or City of the Wolves, anything like that, as much as I look forward to post-launch stuff, I'm a lot more, I guess you could say I'm a lot more exacting as far as first impressions of a game hitting the market. Because it's like, if you're going to be expecting me to pay in after I've already paid the price of admission, then you better have a solid foundation.
Cool.
All right. Nick.
I don't know if I'm a little confused about this one, but for me at least, when I'm looking at this on face value, like, I think it's the fact that those games, when they released, everyone had the same experience, and that's what we shared with friends. That's what that connection was, and that made that more memorable for me as I grew up. Like those errors that we ran into, you'd show your friend those bugs, and that'd be something you'd share together. That community that we have with games nowadays, especially. Everyone's experience is a little bit different. Like the base game is good, but with all the DLC and the different things you can get and the awards you can get, the different banners or the pay to win mechanics that you get with a lot of games nowadays too. Like experiences can be widely different when you're playing a game, especially with live service games that we've seen. Someone rolls in with a different, I'm thinking more so like on the mobile game side, when people roll up with stuff that they can just pay for, they spend enough money on, they have a much better, different experience than I have in a game, and it's not as memorable for me. I remember that I got beat up by the pay to win guy, or I remember games like, especially when games started doing day one patches, like how we were up in arms about that. But now look at it, it takes 6 months plus to fix a game now. Like a lot of people are hitting that wall right when the game comes out and not following through with it. So the game is definitely not as memorable. So
Mm.
that's what I got. Like I said, I'm maybe not 100% on that question and understanding it, but that's what I took away.
I was kind of thinking of how to answer this because the easiest way is that I always thought games back in the day were always the final product, regardless of bugs. For example, in Contra, stage 4, I think, where the floor drops down, and this is the spider boss stage.
Yeah.
There's a weird platform section where you can get stuck on the corner of a platform and you won't die. But if you crouch, you instantly die. That's a bug. I found that out when I was a kid. So to me, that's like what you guys said. It's a part of its personality to me because it's a finished product in my child brain. But as far as like if it's game breaking and it's not working, I think that's a problem. But stuff like that happened in Contra, I think it's personality, in my opinion.
Or like the grenade glitch in Blaster Master.
There you go.
Right. That's literally the first thing that came to my mind, right? Yeah. Or rocket jumping, completely unintended,
100%. Yeah.
Right. And
combos,
creating right combinations. That's just a stone cold fact for the young people that don't know. The combos that you know from Street Fighter 2 and all that are completely unintended. They were like, hold up. Like, wait, what are you doing over there? It's like, well, you didn't say I couldn't. And now the entire combination system in fighting games is a result of completely unintended game development. Like, just wasn't what they were thinking about doing. And it introduced us to a whole new world like Aladdin. All right, so we got the patches out of the way. This is listed as LAN versus online, but I don't think it's I don't think that's a really complete way to think about that. Just the physical presence versus digital convenience, right? And it's the question is phrased in such a way that I don't think it's adequate. It's more being right there next to your guy, sitting with the homie or homies, right? And playing in person with each other. Has it gotten worse and weakened the connections that we're making with one another when we play online compared to playing in person? And we're going to
the convenience is nice. I will answer straight up right away.
Nope,
convenience is nice, but the connection is definitely weaker. It's the same thing we said about social media for years. I loved going to LAN parties. I loved getting together with my friends, physically hooking those computer up, being there in the moment. It made it an event. It made it that together. When we're just hopping on our consoles at home, yeah, it's nice to play with the friends, but that connection is just not there. It's just convenience sake. I don't get the same connection. It's that same thing where it's like I just played a game with my buddies a couple days ago, but it's just like we still feel like we need to get together to watch a movie, to cook something to eat, to hang out. Like LAN definitely deepen the connection. It was much more important when you put in that kind of effort. Done and dusted.
Damn, that was the most Persona 3 ass answer I've ever heard in my life. Like, damn, done and dusted. He's like, get it out here. He's gone. Like,
I feel very, very strongly about LAN stuff. Like LAN parties are part of the reason I wanted to get into events and gaming stuff so much.
Absolutely.
This is why I bring this up, because I agree with Nick. But this thing was like a godsend to me on my Super Nintendo because I lived far away from my best friend.
Sure.
It wasn't great, but nothing beats having your buddy next to you and just like talking smack and eating food and hanging out and doing something afterwards when you're done. That's it.
Yeah, there's certainly benefits to both. Not downplaying that. I'm just saying for this question, yeah, the effort made the connection stronger for me. I'm absolutely not going to be. I won't even drive 15 minutes up to Ferndale sometimes to sit down and play a game with my friends. Like, I will absolutely do it online because it is that much more convenient, especially now that I have a kid. Like, duh. But the connection is a little more tenuous. It doesn't feel as stronger connected when we're playing together. It's fun, good to have some laughs, but it's not that connection.
Yeah,
right.
It's not the same.
And Andre just said it best, and I agree. Yeah. Online friendships are still friendships. They're still just as valid. They can still be just as they can still be just as potent.
Yeah, I hope
But
no one's thinking that I'm like talking down about that.
well,
Like
yeah,
I'm just saying the connection was that much more when I'm comparing them and my experience with them. I literally played WoW for a very long time, and I had guildies across the country and the world get
Yeah.
married. Like I know the connection with remote is a thing. Absolutely.
yeah, yeah. But here's the thing. Remember back in 2012, 2013, when I was doing the podcast format reviews, the hooligans. I was doing that specifically because Duder literally lived like down the street from me. It's like, hey, you want to get together, play some games, record some shit, and those would be hangout sessions for us that we just wound up recording and reviewing games with. But it was that live, it's the presence, actually having your boy there to sit back, check out a game, crack jokes, maybe put some Tostitos pizza rolls in the oven and let those warm up while you're getting.
He
the
called
game
them by
set
their
up.
brand name.
Damn right.
He got real specific. Tostitos pizza rolls, not that
The pepperoni
shit.
ones.
Oh, the lava ones. Okay, yeah, the ones that just burn your
Lava
fucking
ones.
tongue right out of your mouth.
Yeah.
It's like lava. It'll tear you up, boy. Oh man.
The singed roof, like every time I singe the roof of my mouth on hot food, I think back to those pizza rolls, and it immediately takes me back to all the times I'd be just hanging out with the guys, like playing KOF and watching anime. And it was important because of the fact that we were right there with each other.
Even I have to provide a slight answer to this because I think everyone nailed every part of it, right? And for me, I think that it's kind of a combination of both. I don't think this is a this or that question because I think about the most longest time co-op partner I've ever had in video games, my brother, right? I was a real little puppy when I watched him struggle his way through Blaster Master, right? I was there. Basically, any console that came out between the Atari all the way up to the PS2, my brother and I were together for that, right? But now my brother literally lives all the way in Alaska, and I don't get to see my brother that much anymore. But now when we play games together online, we'll get on the Xbox or whatever, we'll be playing State of Decay 2. It gives me that feeling that I'm sitting next to my brother on the couch and doing what we always did, right? So I think that doing things online can make an existing connection stronger, or at the very least maintain that connection. And like Nick said, it's not the same, right? They're still good, but it's not the same. So I think it can take an existing connection that was formed through gaming and keep it in place and maintain it. Whereas the other connections, they're still good too, but they're just not at the same level of potency that was achieved through that couch co-op or that LAN experience.
Right.
It's exactly the way, like I said, I feel like it has a lot of social media stuff.
Yep. So now we're going to do the lightning round on this one, right? So I'm going to ask really quick questions, and you guys are going to give really quick answers. Lead off with a yes or a no, and then give me one clean sentence explaining your answer. Don't think about it. Just say it. The first thing comes to mind. We're going to start with Ace, go to Nick, then we're going to go to GQ. Everybody ready? And here we go. So here's the question. Are we less patient, or are games designed to move faster? Ace.
Games are designed to move faster. And the reason I say this is quite simple. More often than not, you've got games like, say, Warframe, for example, where, once you log in, you pick a mission, you pick your loadout, you go. It focuses on, the moment-to-moment gameplay. Sure, you've got your daily login rewards, but that moment-to-moment vibe and the mechanics there, that is literally that is 100%. That's the flow, and that's a lot of what live service is. Just whether
That's quite the sentence, Ace.
Yep, just whether they're trying to get
The
money out of you or not.
Yeah.
You just got to get in there and go.
There you go. Nick.
That same one, or are you giving me a different prompt?
That same one.
I'll give you a different prompt. Ace
You
already
really,
answered
you,
it. I don't need
you
to rehash
really.
it.
Okay.
What's your next?
Okay. All right. So, ownership versus subs. Does owning the game change your emotional investment in it?
Yes, absolutely. For me, it shifts the experience of that from being something temporary, something that's consumable, and gives you a long-term commitment.
There you
Done.
go.
Okay. There you go. Done. Now we're just gonna jump straight to the question 3 to GQ,
Okay.
and then we'll go down to the core of this entire segment. All right. So, do we experience games deeply anymore, or are we just kind of moving through them?
We experience games deeply, but it is personal. It's from person to person, given the amount of time and what do you call this? The amount of time they want to put into it. That's it. Because you like, yeah, that's it. I don't want to go into it.
You're like, that's it. Nope. It's like, boom. Okay, there we go. Now, the big question that you can have a longer thought on.
Yeah.
Same question for everybody. If you have to choose one era to live in permanently, right? No hybrid. Which era do you live in of game history?
Good one.
PS2 era. PS2.
That's it. Second. I second him.
Nick, what you
Nick?
got, man?
Man, that's tough for me. It's really tough. There's a lot of reasons for all of it, and I don't. My choice of era is not reflective on how I feel about the other ones and thinking that they're worse. It's just what I want to live in to answer the question. For me, it's 7th gen. It's 360 PS3 era. Massive shift to HD graphics, man. The consoles going multiplayer like they have. For me, it's just there's so many titles in that era. So many different titles, so many new titles. We talked about a bunch of them tonight that happened in there too. And I wouldn't trade that. I can have nostalgia anytime, but the games that came out in that era, that was a huge leap. The industry was banging.
Wow. Andre's with you on
GQ?
that one. I'm with Jagos. Arcade era with infinite money. And the reason for this is because it gets me out of the house. And two, the arcade experience of playing video games was more interactive, like driving the steering wheel in Super Off-Road, the twin sticks in Smash Brothers. Right. And also, if you were lucky, you played that awesome ass like Top Gun game with the cockpit. I'm all about that era. So everything else sucks. That's right. You heard me. I said it.
He's got a point. It's also deeply social. Deeply social.
Aladdin's Castle, baby.
All I'm saying is you ain't finding no girl sitting in your living room.
Hey man, I guess they were in my living room. Maybe that's why I like that era so much. I'm just looking at those exclusives, man. From that 7th gen, I can't get past what we played. Like Xbox having Halo 3, Gears of War, PlayStation having Uncharted, Last of Us, Metal Gear Solid 4. Like the change in the industry, it's not something I'd swap out for. I get the arguments everyone else has, but that's all I got.
Oh, trust me, we can definitely see the arguments you got too.
So
I'm sorry if I was too pointed when I said that.
no,
It
he can't
sounded like,
farm with that
goddamn,
shit.
Nick.
He said,
What the hell?
"Wow!" and just punched his whole hand through it. Like, damn.
Look, man. I've got my daughter in the other room. It's late. I know we've gotten a little long in the tooth tonight, so the filter's like I'm done with the like. Let me think and pontificate on this. I'm like, nah. It was this era. You suck.
So
Trash.
as we finish up with the patch notes, so that we can get into the quick bites and the rumor mill. Here's the thought. Here's the big reflection on all of this, and this is what my takeaway was on the topic ultimately. Maybe the truth is, gaming didn't get worse, nor did it get better. It's not an evolution. It's a mutation. It's been a lateral shift. We can't go, oh, things have progressed so much. I don't really think that that's the case. This isn't like how cell phones went from a one-trick pony, big-ass brick, with 2 hours of time on it, right, to a pocket-sized multi-purpose device that can outperform the computers used in the original space missions, right? This is literally evolution. We're looking at it. It used to be you could kill somebody with a cell phone back in the day. Like, you could just do that. That is a notably and objectively true evolution, but that's not what's happened with games. Convenience has gone up, right? I don't have to leave my house to get a new game. Access has expanded, right? Now so many games are multi-platform across the board, right? If you buy it on a system, there's a good chance you're either going to be able to play it with people on other systems or it's going to be available on those other systems. So that happened too. But friction, the thing that made moments feel earned, has come down dramatically. Right? We were talking about getting beat up as kids, right? No, remember when they hated kids? Yeah, it was the best. All that stuff. So when we exist in this time and we have games that have patches and we have the amount of conveniences, that came at a cost of something else. And ultimately, I think that we've just broken even. We've lost things. We've lost techniques, right? We've lost developer, I don't know, moxie, right? We've lost these things, but we gained other things too. And I think this is going to happen to every generation. We're always going to want to go back to a particular time that we loved and that we enjoyed, or particularly where we spend our most formative years. So I don't think any of this, up to this point in history, we're not in a position where we go, oh, things are absolutely 100% better or things are 100% absolutely worse. No, I think we made a detour. And I think we just took a slightly different path while maintaining just generalized equilibrium. Not better, not worse in always, not in the big completed picture. But there's definite changes. But we just can't say, oh, things are worse or things are better. And that's going to be the patch notes for the night.
Awesome. Hey, I got your ending song finally. Here you go. I don't know where it went, but I found it. So awesome. Thank you. All right, Nick, ready for some quick bites on rumor mill?
I suppose we are.
Oh, I lost yours now too. What the heck?
Oh, it's perfectly fine. You know what? We'll do it live.
Do it live.
Yeah, just run the typesetting, just put it there in the back. Quick Bites and Rumor Mill is the Gaming Academy's rapid fire roundup of the biggest stories, updates, and whispers in the gaming world from this last week. This week, like I said at the very top, I am no longer complaining about a quiet news cycle. In fact, I'm exhausted, but true to name, let's go quick. Let's get through this. I know we're a little bit later, so appreciate you sticking around here, chat. Summer Games Fest has announced the scheduling of this year's show, and it will be held on June 5th at 5 p.m. Eastern. While it runs for 3 days, we'll be staying glued for any new reveals and wondering which random out-of-left-field announcement will make its debut and how companies will structure their own events around that date. So always an exciting time of year for me going into summer and seeing what new stuff we get. So we've got a date now for that. Blizzard Entertainment has announced Overwatch Rush, a top-down hero shooter for mobile. An early dev video is live on their channel, so you can check it out if you're interested, but it shows off 4v4 gameplay, so that's where they're going with Overwatch next. We are talking about this news on our Discord, and we have for the last couple days, but to make it podcast official, King of Meat, Amazon's co-op live service action title, is being shut down, and service will end on April 9th. Projections for this game, we're hoping to hit 100K concurrent players. I think it's worth bringing that up. But Steam charts clocked its all-time record at 320.
Oh,
320, not K. They wanted 100K.
Just
320.
320.
320 peak players for King of Meat. And it's even more crazy because that was after that includes the millions they've spent on a Mr. Beast cross promotion for like a live event with that one. So it's just crazy to see the amount of money that was burned on that one. So another one for the pile, showing why projections and lofty expectations, how they play into these live service titles. Speaking of live service, let's talk a little bit about Marathon. Their Server Slam event is running this week, and ahead of it, Bungie has detailed some networking and security details in a new blog post. Want to talk about this on the news because there's a couple interesting tidbits in there. Dedicated servers, will provide a layer of protection against cheating using authoritative on key combat and looting actions. So that's going to have that kind of like level of security extra in there. There will be a fog of war system, they're calling it, which is limiting map knowledge for individual player clients to limit the effectiveness of cheats like wall hacks and loot revealers. The Battle Eye game security stack, along with a permaban, is going to be in it for anyone found cheating. No second chances, just straight up. If you're caught cheating, out permanently. So something new, something a little more aggressive for this. We'll see how it plays out, but just something interesting. Yeah. On that same note, Bungie, and James, you're talking about Destiny earlier, Bungie has confirmed that the next major update for Destiny 2, which was called Shadow and Justice, is being delayed to June 9th and will get a completely new name. It's going through large revisions right now, and that will include a lot of quality of life updates after the last couple updates that we got have kind of broken things. Insomniac Games has cut to the chase and announced their Marvel Wolverine title has a release date, September 5th, 2026. First announced in September 2021 at the PlayStation Showcase, the game got its release date kind of dropped out of nowhere on us this last week via a 6-second video shared on the dev's social account. So we got a date for the Wolverine game. In case you missed it, Sony is shutting down Blue Point Games, letting go of 70 employees who were responsible for developing remakes like Demon Souls. This one was a bit of shock to fans, as Blue Point was known for making high-end remakes of older games, thinking Uncharted and Shadow of the Colossus, among others. We also know that this is another casualty of Sony's live service mandate, as the team was reported to be working on that God of War live service title. So F's in chat for Blue Point, boys. Ubisoft is continuing its restructuring process, and while we have heard mostly bad news coming out of Ubisoft lately, like their Toronto studio being hit with layoffs this last week, which is where that Splinter Cell remake was being made, vibes out of the company, not great lately, but we do have a little bit of positive news. The president, Yves Guillemot, did confirm that the studio is working on 2 new Far Cry games and several Assassin's Creed titles. Some of those will be multiplayer, some of those will be single player. So more content if you're fans of the series coming along. Let's see how they handle it. But big news, the big stuff that happened. We talked about a little bit on the Discord, but we're talking about bad vibes lately. Let's chat about the big news that landed this last week and let's get the panel's feeling on it. I do highly recommend with this story that you do read some of the articles about this topic. There's a lot of little details that can be pulled out of it, and you can kind of have your own inferences. Plenty of other people had, but here's the quick and dirty. News broke going into last weekend, and effective yesterday, Monday, February 23rd, Phil Spencer has retired as the CEO of Microsoft Gaming after 38 years with the company. The leadership change also saw Xbox President Sarah Bond, often seen as the successor to Phil, at least in the public's eye, has officially resigned. In an email to staff, Phil mentioned that he will stay on in an advisory role through the summer to support a smooth handoff. The new CEO of Microsoft Gaming will be Asha Sharma, who has previously the president of Microsoft's core AI product, and has experience as a former VP at Meta, COO of Instacart, and was a board member of Home Depot. Matt Booty, who's been sticking around, is still going to be here. He's going from the head of Xbox Game Studios to a promotion as Chief Content Officer. Now, since this announcement, there's been a lot of content being released, and a lot of things have been covered on this, but I want to put this to the panel and chat just a hot minute about it. Sharma's memo outlined commitments that said the right things about games being first, the return of Xbox with a commitment to the core Xbox fans and players, and focusing on the future of play by not chasing short-term efficiency or flooding their ecosystem with soulless AI slop. Multiple outlets have pointed to reports leaking about how this is an Xbox marketing and push we've seen spearheaded by that we've seen lately from Xbox was spearheaded by Sarah Bond and was almost universally disliked and deemed a failure by people working at the company. She had also previously described the concept of Xbox exclusives as, quote, outdated last year. Now, this isn't absolving Phil. He would have had the final say in direction like this as president. However, this has led to speculation of Xbox losing its way, or at least its identity, due to the direction of the company has been on as of late. In her own statement, Sarah did point out the need of current video game landscapes needing fresh eyes and new leadership, as well as the fact that she is assisting during this transition as a special advisor. So, panel, chat, what do you make of this change at Xbox? What are your gut reactions, and where do you think this is leading the company?
Let me hit this one quick, hard, and fast. Let me try and pull a U on it. Holy shit. Okay, first and foremost. 2, I hope it works out for him. 3, as a longtime Xbox hater, it's shocking to me that the series line, the S and the X, haven't been adopted more than they are, because this is the first time I've been impressed with Xbox hardware. I'm like, this is amazing. This whole ecosystem is amazing. Look, I'm shocked over the fact that just I got the Xbox just because my wife got it for me as an anniversary present. I got on Vampire Survivors and I went fucking crazy. Got on State of Decay 2, went fucking crazy. I'm like, this is the greatest thing I've ever done in my life. This is so good. And then everything's an Xbox. Like, don't mess this up, right? Like, you guys finally had a good thing. You just need to tighten it up and increase that value proposition. You need to talk about the things that your service does that everyone else doesn't do. Like, I play a game that's fun and I want my brother to play it in Alaska. I can buy him things and gift them to him, like on Steam. I never heard anyone talk about that. No one ever mentions that stuff. That stuff is good. She needs to bring that product back to its core and talk about what you can do that your competition does not. And you can bring the Xbox brand back. Fuck, I'm rooting for y'all. I want you to do it. I want State of Decay 3. Let's fucking go. But, oh man, you guys got some crazy shit going over there. I hope it all works out. What a colossal mess.
No.
I would say the same. In my opinion, they lost the console war and they're folding super hard. The fact that the new CEO is an AI like enforcer just tells you which direction they want to go. And to me, that's it right there. It's like there's enough said. You just pick the people that are, you pick Phil Spencer for a reason, right? But you also pick Asha Sharma for a reason as well.
Ace, you have anything?
The moment I saw that both Phil and Sarah were leaving, I was just struck speechless. I'm like, that is literally the head of the snake getting cut off. How the fuck are they going to be moving forward from here?
Yeah,
we'll find out.
Chat, I see your comments as well. Blue, appreciate your input. Everyone has some really good takes on this. The main thing I wanted to say behind this, and reason I wanted to put it to just a quick discussion at the end of the show here, was that with these changes, I always respected Phil and what he was doing. I really enjoyed watching what he did with the company. We can freely admit that this is the Xbox campaign was a colossal mistake for the Xbox brand. I can see why they wanted to go that direction and getting their games on multiple platforms. We've seen how well those Xbox games are selling on PlayStation. Forza Horizon was topping sales charts. Like, that was a prime opportunity to get more money out of these properties because the install base on the Xbox itself is so bad. However, the install on that Xbox base is so bad, and the lack of exclusives have really hurt them in the long run. And it doesn't give you a reason to even buy an Xbox. So this talk of going into the next generation of Xbox console, this might be the exact thing they need to refocus the company to go back to that, to focus on their box and their exclusives, potentially make it, exclusive, go back to that year exclusive before it ends up on other platforms kind of thing. Give people a value for buying into your brand. So I'm hoping this is positive in the end. We've seen clearly that the last direction it had has not been working for the brand as a whole, and leadership changes needed to happen no matter who was at the helm. It just wasn't working. So I think we can say as a group that happened. My concern is what a lot of people pointed to. I don't know Asha's track record, but I can say that she has already said in multiple posts that she's made on her own blog posts for Microsoft or on her own social media accounts. She has said it's going to take time for her to learn what gaming is. And it's just like you put that person in charge of Microsoft gaming, and they need to spend a lot of time to get to know gaming. It's like that doesn't bode well to me. It seems like that's way too much of a like time frame jump where it's just like they needed to be onboarded already. Like Xbox is in dire straits now. And that's not to knock her or what she does. That's just to say, like, I have a concern from the outside looking in of just like, this just doesn't bode well. Vibes are bad. But yeah, that's what I have. As far as the rumor mill this week, again, grain of salt. I'll go through these really quickly. Just a little more of like a thought thing, like, oh, that'd be kind of cool. Or, hey, that would absolutely be fucking terrible. Don't do that. But on a leak of via X Cancel, user V Scooper has shared that SNK is developing a connected Fatal Fury King of Fighters film and TV universe on the level of Arcane. I don't know how you guys feel about that. I know you're fans of the series, but that just kind of popped up. It's supposedly centered on turning Southtown into a mythic war zone with deeper drama and lore redefinition. So again,
weird.
rumor mill, take it as a grain of pinched salt, but I found that interesting. User Nick NP16 on our the subreddit Gaming Leaks and Rumors has pointed out that Radical Entertainment has relaunched their website under the name New Radical Entertainment and is prominently displaying their older titles, adding fuel to the fire of a potential remaster of Prototype that had been in the ether the last 5 months. There's been some rumors about that. According to Saints Row 1 design director Chris Stockman, the pitch for a Saints Row prequel that he was tasked with has officially been passed over by Embracer Group. He had announced the ask of it last October, but now it looks like there's zero interest from Embracer on the brand, and Chris shared his belief that the franchise is dead. That reboot has killed it.
Yes.
A leak on YouTube has since been taken down from Bandai Namco Southeast Asia. It listed a new title in the Dragon Ball series, which was Dragon Ball Xenoverse 3. Nothing officially announced, but it's Xenoverse 2's 10th anniversary this year, so maybe that's something for fans to hold their hopes into. That's what I got this week, guys. News. Appreciate you listening to me. Voice is dying on me, but that's where I'm going to call it for the night.
Cool. Awesome, man. Well, thanks for some quick bites and rumor mill. Yeah, I seem to be finding these these sound bits after you guys do your show, but it's all good. All right, guys, it's running a little late, but hey, it's never too late for some final boss wisdom. First time here, final boss is where we take lessons from gaming and we apply them to real life because, you know, you are your own final boss, and you gotta defeat yourself to improve yourself. So, what is tonight's topic? Well, tonight's topic we've been kind of talking about the whole night, and it is basically aging through gaming. But also, the specific one I'm talking about is playing different isn't playing worse. Aging as a gamer. So, hold on to your butts, just like in Jurassic Park. Final boss is coming up now. Do I have my song now too? Did I lose that as well? There we go. I got it. Cool. All right. There comes a moment in every gamer's life. Yes, there is that moment in every gamer's life, folks. When something feels different. Maybe your reaction isn't what it used to be because you're getting old. Maybe you don't stay up till 3 a.m. grinding anymore. I know I can't. I want to, but I can't. Maybe you don't chase every new release because you don't have that much money. But maybe you don't need to. And for a lot of people, that realization feels uncomfortable because gaming culture quietly teaches us something. Faster is better. Higher rank is better. More hours is better. Younger is better. So when those things start to shift, it can feel like you're losing something. But here's the truth most gamers eventually discover. You're not getting worse, you're not getting different, and different is not decline. It's evolution. When you're younger, gaming is often about reaction, speed, competition, intensity. But as time moves forward, something else grows. Yeah. Awareness, patience, pattern recognition, and strategy. Intentional decision making. You start seeing systems faster, even if your hands move slower. Right? Talking about this earlier. You understand risk better, experience and wisdom. You respect pacing more. Don't need to rush. You choose experiences instead of chasing them. You just don't play the game, you understand it. Now think about this. Think about it really hard, right? Younger players often rely on reflex. Older players rely on judgment. As a fighting game player, I wholeheartedly agree. Reflex wins moments, judgment wins outcomes. And that shift doesn't make you less of a gamer. It makes you a different kind of gamer. Now, you may no longer the following: chase every competitive ladder, finish games in a single weekend. God, I would love that. Or even memorize every frame advantage. I don't have time for that as a fighting game player. Or optimize every build. Yeah, for sure. But you might now notice design philosophy as you're evolving, right? Appreciate pacing. Value story more deeply. I know I do. Every time I play an RPG, I'm like, what is this all about? Oh, cool. They grabbed different portions of mythology from this. This is great. Recognize manipulation systems. Where can I exploit in this? Optimize. And the best part of all, protect your time intentionally. That's not loss. That's clarity. I would talk about this on the show every time. Now, here's the part many people don't say out loud. But here at Gaming Academy, we'll say it. Gaming that once demanded your energy now gives you energy. It becomes restoration, reflection, comfort, and connection. Right? You stop proving something and start experiencing something. All night we talked about how the industry has changed. Your life is changing. Your priorities changed. And your playstyle changes with it. That's not failure, that's adaptation. Sorry. And adaptation is one of the most fundamental skills in gaming ever taught us. So if you've ever felt like you don't play the way you used to, if you've ever wondered if you've fallen off, try to get to Tekken God, my goodness. If you've ever thought maybe gaming passed you by, hear this clearly tonight, guys. You didn't fall behind, you just leveled into a different build, and every build has strengths. And I'm going to close this out tonight. Pay heed to these. Playing different isn't playing worse. Playing with experience, playing with perspective. It's playing with wisdom. And that might be the highest level of mastery there is. Honor the way you play now, because every version of you that picked up a controller helped build it. Right? Time spent isn't the same as time invested, because mastery is about presence, not hours. And that is your tonight's final boss. And I hope you take that with you in life, right? Apply it to yourself, enrich your life with it, take your gaming skills and wisdom, and make a better version of yourself tomorrow. Level up. Cool. All right, guys. Any takeaways before we close this bad boy out for tonight? Aside from us being old AF.
Old AF indeed. But again, it's reminding ourselves that getting old doesn't necessarily mean getting worse. It just means, like you said, speccing into a different build.
Yeah.
Different priorities, different outlooks on the same things that we used to do, or even different outlook. We might have a different outlook today on something that we did yesterday, and we'll have to do again.
Well said. Well said.
All I can say is that one thing I definitely know for sure, because I'm in the middle of living it, is an old quote about youth and exuberance is no match for old age and treachery.
I love that.
And that is really the score. Because you know what? When I was younger, I could stay up all night chugging Surge, right? Slamming back Red Bulls and doing all that other shit. But now I'm old and I'm a little dusty and I don't have time, which means when I get in there, I'm playing for keeps, right?
Mm.
If I'm going to win something, god damn it, I'm going to win it. And I'm not playing around. I'm going to go in there, hit hard, hit fast, go home, kiss my wife, hug my kid, and go the fuck to bed. That's what I got time for. I don't have time for showboating. I don't have time to style on you. I end up accidentally being cool, not because I was trying to be cool, but because I was doing what I was supposed to be doing in the first place.
Done and dusted.
Right?
Done
And dusted. Pow! Like,
I love it. I love
he
it.
was like, get out of my face. Now I got to go buy all this milk and get these eggs because she's going to be on there.
I love it.
So,
I gotta take that with
it just means I value games differently and I'm enjoying this change. I want to see what comes next.
Awesome. Well said.
Great job. Proud of you.
Thanks, Dad.
Like, anything?
No, man. I said everything I need to say during this. I just appreciate chatting with you and chat about everything and the stuff that we love. And I started posting in the lounge on our Discord. Definitely join if you haven't gotten there yet. Get your friends in there. Just talking about that
Yeah.
generation of gaming again.
Continue the conversation in there.
Continue the conversation, man. I was just in there talking about Halo 3's ad campaign and just how it was one of my favorite campaigns that they did. So yeah, just that generation, man. That generation of gaming for me.
Cool. All right. Well, I think that brings us to the end of tonight's class. If there's one thing we hope you take with you, it's this. Gaming doesn't leave us behind. It grows with us because our reflexes may change, our priorities may shift, our time may be even become more intentional, right? But our connection to games and what they teach us only deepens. You don't stop being a gamer because you play differently. You become a different kind of gamer. Be more aware, be more deliberate, and more experienced. And sometimes that's the highest level of mastery there is. And whenever you are in your gaming journey, or wherever you are in your gaming journey, honor it. Just roll with it. Every version of you that picked up a controller helped build the player you are today. That's a lot of hours, guys, of leveling up, grinding, right? With that said, thank you for spending time with us here at the Gaming Academy. Until next class, keep learning, keep growing, keep playing with purpose, and remember, ask yourself this: what's your gamer quotient? Have a good night. Y'all take care.
Class dismissed.